Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Hello, and welcome to TrekChatz, a Star Trek podcast hosted by two people who have never watched Star Trek before. Well, welcome everybody to the show. Hi, my name's Allen.
Hello.
And I'm joined by a member of an alien race who just wants a chance. Just please let us occupy your bodies. Please let us kill you. It'll be so cool, I promise. Be cool. That's Magellan.
Please, I'm not gonna do anything too bad with it. I'm just gonna create a robot.
I just want a little robot based on you. Except once I go into it, I'll realize the robot can't fuck like you do, and then I'm gonna want you instead. You may think to yourself, Allen and Magellan, you guys make up the craziest Star Trek plots. Not made up.
Nope.
Not by us. Actually, was made up by a writer.
From us. Yeah, we didn't make it up.
Wait, what is in your spec script for Star Trek?
Honestly, mine is just kind of like nothing goes wrong that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is what it is, actually. The food replicator thing is broken. So they need to cook the meals and they have to go on rotations, like who's cooking. So you get a little slice of like, oh, it's Kirk's turn to cook. And everyone's like, Captain, this toast is quite burnt. He's like, damn it, Spock. I don't know how to set the settings on the toaster. But, you know, it's like that kind of thing.
And then Bones is like, damn it, Jim, it's automatic. You set it to toast and said, forget it.
Damn it, I'm a doctor, not a chef. And then he takes a bite and he's like, maybe I'm also a chef.
He turns around, he puts on a chef's hat and a little apron that says kiss the doctor.
And then he's like, admit it, Spock. You like cooking without measuring the ingredients. Doctor, the most logical way is to taste the food. Yeah,
we turn back to Kirk and he's making out with an unspecified female red shirt who we've never met and will never meet again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so easy. There's no wonder everybody made parodies of Star Trek. It's so formulaic in a good way.
They really made the characters quite distinct.
Yeah. Speaking of things, Star Trek, what's new in your world, Star Trek or otherwise? Anything you want to report back since last TrekChatz or Star Trek stuff that you've enjoyed?
I mean, New York is all flutter right now because we won the NBA championship. You know,
yeah, Nixon 5.
The last time we won it was before TNG existed, so that's something, but not before Star Trek existed, the original series.
Thanks, Lucille.
Maybe it was on TV. What were the exact years of Star Trek TOS?
I want to say 64.
Oh, never mind.
Oh.
But that team, the guys on that team might have watched Star Trek when they were younger than being on the basketball team. So that's kind of fun.
69. Yes,
Nice.
no, definitely, most definitely. The people who were on the last team would have watched Star Trek. I was saying thank you to Lucille Ball. This is like one of the most known pieces of OTOS trivia that I was not aware of until recently, that Lucille Ball was like the biggest push on the network to get Star Trek created. So we have her to thank for this podcast, technically. Thank you.
Desilu Productions.
That's right. I didn't even think about that. Doesn't it say that during the credits?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
That's her company.
Wow. Shout outs. So, yeah, I think we just want to get into it. But yeah, I guess in my world, it's the World Cup and Boston is full of Scottish people and other people. And we're having a great time watching sports and drinking together. And I was like having a really nice, tender conversation in a park with my girlfriend yesterday evening. And then you just in the middle of that, in the distance, no Scotland, no party, and then someone falls and then a glass shatters and then somebody yells and you're like, why can't that's happening? I watched somebody hump a tree. It's weird. We're into a weird cartoon city right now. I kind of like it, but it's weird.
Yeah, it feels like our specific kind of niche of our generation is having like a we like sports and we don't care who knows moment this year. Football, hockey, golf.
You got it!
Yeah, sports and we don't care who
Plus
knows.
10. The timing, Michelle, you got that so right. Yeah. I think what people want to be outside. People want to enjoy something together. We were cooped up. This was a very cold winter we just got out of. Like, I think it's right time, right place. And the World Cup comes every 4 years, so it's like they couldn't have come at a better time.
Yeah, the Winter Olympics were fun, and there's a little dick sucking and heated rivalry.
I thought that was you hitting stop on your recording. There was in fact.
All right,
cool.
let's talk about the other gay show.
Yeah,
Trek,
the other gay
original
sex
series.
show that we watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, this is a Star Trek TOS first time watch podcast, and we are continuing our coverage of TOS with season 2, part 2, the second half of season 2, on the podcast today. That starts with the episode Wolf in the Fold and goes all the way to the season finale. We don't really need to do any more setup because we're right down the middle. We've split. We're right exactly halfway through TOS. We have one season left after this. And that's very freaking cool. So,
do you have general vibes or feelings about this chunk of episodes?
Yeah, this is a really bad chunk of episodes, man.
Yeah, it sucks. It's not good.
Really rough.
Maybe the worst chunk half season of Star Trek we've watched.
I believe that. I believe that. There's like good in TNG season 1, like little hints of it.
Yeah.
The problem is there's like hints of good in here, but they're just so few and far between. And even the best episodes have like really major problems, whether it's pacing or rampant racism and misogyny, or just shaggy scripts that are like dying to hit 50 minutes on the dot. And it's like there was a scene I was watching today where it's like just two people looking at something that was like melting for like a minute straight, and I was like, I get it, your effects team like did all this work to make something melt. You didn't have to film it for a minute. 1/50th of your episode is me watching just a thing melt. Like, that's the kind of thing where I'm like, oh my god, TOS, I know that TV pacing is different than it used to be, but holy smokes, get it together.
Yep.
I say all of that knowing that also one of my favorite TOS episodes is in here, but we're in needle in the haystack territory, friends. I'm gonna be so real with you. It's dire docs.
Let's talk about it. So first off, we watched episode 14 of season 2, Wolf in the Fold, which is it's not, I don't know how I'm gonna phrase this joke, but it's like wash and fold, wolf in the fold. Like, that's not a very good laundry service.
If there's a whole wolf in there.
If they put a wolf in there. What are you cracking open, by the way?
Oh, thank you for asking, Magellan. It's a Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar.
It's a Dr. McCoy Zero Sugar.
Dr. McCoy,
doctor,
please sponsor me. Please, not Zero Sugar soda companies. Please. I'm buying a case of this shit every week. I fucking love it. Anyways, it helps me get through the podcast after the full cup of black coffee I just drank and the gallon of water next to me.
Dr. Pepper's caffeinated, right?
Yeah, lightly.
Good stuff. Lightly.
Wolf in the Fold. So I didn't check the Paramount summary for all of the episodes, but this one was like, Scotty is implicated in a Jack the Ripper style murder. And I was like, I'm sold. Go home. This is wonderful. How bad can this possibly be? It turns out that is like, and I saw other reviews say this too, so it's not just me. That's like the last 10 minutes of the episode. Like, talking about pacing issues. Yeah, the like, where is the Jack the Ripper? It's the Jack the Ripper spirit that goes into the ship, or Jack the Ripper alien, and it goes between different people, and one of them is like, it keeps going to Scotty, and he gets implicated in murders. Then it goes to a woman, then it goes to this other guy, then it goes to, and then they put it in Piglet, and then they jettison Piglet off the fucking ship, and that's how they get rid of the problem, which is insane. And that
guy was the voice of Piglet, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, when you hear that, when you realize that, you're like, oh my god, it's so him.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The guy who played what the hell, not Rajek. Mr. Hengist.
Mr. Hengist?
Yeah, Mr. Hengist is totally Piglet.
That guy himself is a little piglet of a guy, so.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Did they base Piglet on him?
This is a bad episode. This was not a great start. It was pretty
No.
dull. I think I'm officially sick of the episode plot that's like, oh my god, we turned a corner and a main character did something. Oh
Bless you.
gosh, let me start that sentence over. I think I'm officially sick of the stock plot that's like, oh my god, we turned a corner, we looked away from our friend for 1 minute and they did a murder. Whoa, did they really do the murder? Oh my
Fuck.
god, they're saying they didn't do the murder, but there's no other explanation except we're in a speculative fiction show where there could be like myriad explanations for random stuff.
Mhm.
And then you just kind of spend the whole episode being like, whoa, weird, huh? Yeah, pretty weird, until there's little enough time left that you can say what happened and then resolve it. I just, this kind of plot happens so much. It happened so much in Star Trek, and this was a deeply uninteresting version of it.
Even the solution, like that's always my thing. Is like, okay, if the premise, which is usually revealed in the last 10 to 15 minutes, is good, and they can just take it home, I'm willing to put up with like 20 plus minutes of fluff because the show is like for the families to watch over dinner. But the conclusion is literally that they jettisoned the spirit out into space in a human body.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's boring and kind of like depressing. And the Scotty Doohan, he's like a good performer, and I like seeing him get a chance to like do this anxious, like, I didn't do it, it wasn't me, but like, why are you guys so mad, all this stuff. That's great, but like not enough to carry an episode. Most of it's just not enough to carry an episode. And things I don't like, they're like getting worse with women every season. It's kind of astounding. It's like, what is your role as a woman on the Enterprise? Your role is to be killed, your role is to fall in love, your role is to flirt or to be manipulated, or some combination of all of those things. And so like everyone in this just gets killed, every single one. It's crazy. It's such a like bro-y thing. It's such a boys club show, and like I love these three boys. I love our three main boys very much, but it shouldn't be at the cost of every female character. That and I know it's the 60s, and we had feminism in the 60s. We say this over and over again. It's still true.
Yeah, and just the running gag of Kirk being like, let's go across town. They got a place, and the women there are so... McCoy's like, I know that place. Like, I don't want to be in the club. I'm good.
Yeah, it just keeps reminding me that a lot of these writers are like veterans who are like literally coming back from war, like, what would be the dream future world? So wherever I can just like go and like sleep around with whoever I want, all these cool women, there's a planet full of women. What if women?
Yeah. And there's a lot of there's other episodes where this is more of a pronounced feature, but there's more in this half season of Kirk like kissing on ladies.
Yes.
And talking about like love, but not in any way feeling love for anyone or making a connection with anyone, just like being a kind of a sex icon guy who can kiss the ladies and drive them mad and make them fall in love. And I don't know, it's just tiresome. Like, I don't like it.
I agree. No, I agree 100%.
Yeah. When I got bored with some of these episodes, I wrote fake quotes into my notes. So my notes for this one say, Mr. Spock, slap my little tushy and make me feel it for days, which is not a thing that he says in the episode, but I wrote that because I was bored.
That's not what? Yeah, that's awesome. I should do stuff like that. It's so hard to take notes when I'm like, this is disappointing, this sucks, this sucks. Like a lot of my notes this time are just like, oh, that was disappointing.
Yeah. In a lot of these that are kind of dull, the last 5 to 10 minutes are fun.
Yeah.
Like part of the way that they counteract the Jack the Ripper ghost is they inject everybody with something that makes them have no fear because it like feeds on fear or something. So then you have everybody who's just like, oh man, I forget who says this line, but someone says, Captain, whoever he is, he sure talks gloomy.
Yeah.
And then there's a part where Kirk's like, okay, what the hell? When's this going to wear off? And McCoy's like, I don't know. I gave everybody a lot of drugs, dude. It's crazy. So that bit's fun. I like that.
I kind of always love it when they get to act out of the character. There's an episode later where Spock gets to be extremely out of character, and I was like, this is fun.
Ooh, that was, yeah, we'll talk about that.
This is fun, yeah. But this episode is a low C, high D.
I think it's a D, yeah.
Okay. It's not hard for me to do that. I'm totally okay with that. That's a D for Wolf in the Fold. Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's everyone's favorite, y'all. It's season 2, episode 15, The Trouble with Tribbles. If you've been following TrekChatz for a while, you know that we've covered this episode already because folks who've watched more of Star Trek know that Star Trek Deep Space Nine essentially returns to this episode through a time travel plot where the Deep Space Nine crew inserts themselves into the Trouble with Tribbles. So now, in watching that, we watched this originally, and now we're watching again in isolation as part of this season. If you don't remember, we really like this one. It's funny. It has a lot of good plots bouncing around. Similar to like when we recovered Adventure Time on Toon Madness, rewatching The Trouble with Tribbles, I was like, now I'm only focusing on the little details, and I'm having a lot of fun. I think this is a really fun episode that is even better than I remember because it balances the seriousness of like a Klingon plot with this quadrotriticale nonsense and the thing that everybody memes about it, which is the Tribbles. There's so many of them, they're so cute, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah,
I think it works really well.
I agree. Yeah, I don't remember what we talked about with this one, so I don't want to risk kind of repeating myself too much. But I think what struck me about it this time was being able to watch it in context and realize this is what, like the third time Klingons have appeared, the fourth, maybe.
Yeah.
This is like an early. We have not done much. We've maybe mentioned the Klingons more than we've had them in the show, even.
Yep.
And I don't know. This is just a funny episode to have them in because this is kind of like you were saying, the most tense. Oh, this is going to break out into conflict kind of situation against this backdrop of it's like the Furbies craze and everybody's collecting Furbies, and that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's quite a funny episode. I think I have a couple notes. 9 whole minutes before a Tribble is seen in the episode called The Trouble with Tribbles. That's the thing people forget when they remember this episode, is that there's so much that has nothing to do with them. Drink every time you hear somebody say quadrotriticale. I think it's so funny, by the way, that they kept that word in, but there's like a name for an alien later where they had to change the name because DeForest Kelly was like, I can't say that. And it's just it's a 2-syllable word. I'll find it when we get to the episode, but love quadrotriticale. It's fun to say. I wrote Happy Pride in my notes twice here. Not in the time that you think. The first one was just like how mean Bones and Spock are to each other. They're just like the two petty gay guys on the ship who just fucking hate each other. But they kind of love each other. The bullying, the ribbing, the teasing, you're a weird devil man, you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're handsome, I love you, let's make out, that kind of thing. That's my first Happy Pride. My second Happy Pride, you also noted this, of course, one of the most iconic lines of the episode. They're born pregnant, which saves a lot of time. Also, it seems, regarding the Tribble, they're bisexual. And you wrote, and what does that mean exactly?
Well, it says it seems they're bisexual, reproducing at will.
Yeah,
which is like,
what do you think that word means?
Because it would seem to imply, if you're saying they're reproducing at will, does that mean that they can impregnate themselves? Like you're saying that they have the sexual organs of two different sexes? But then we have other words, like we can say asexual reproduction, and that is a thing.
We can say that they're intersex. That's a different thing than they're bisexual.
Yeah, it just made me wonder, like, did bisexual used to mean something different, or is this someone writing and they're like, I need a word for this, I'm just going to make one up, not thinking that the word has a different meaning. It's just such a strange line.
I think that the truth is the term bisexual has existed obviously for this long, but the understanding of gender and sex being different is a remarkably modern concept. It shouldn't be. Like I'm sure there's literature that indicates that people understood that differently. But like the popular assumption or understanding of the difference between gender and sex. So they're like, oh, they have 2 sexual organs, bisexual.
Right. But this is even not a gender and sex thing. It's like a sex and sexuality thing,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, if Jane Austen came back, that's the name of the book she would write. Sex and Sexuality. That's free, Jane. You can have that one. Oh, no, she fell down a cliff. But yeah, it's like, are we talking about sex or sexuality? And the word bi. It's kind of like, but does bi-monthly mean twice a month or every other?
Yeah, they are attracted to every other sex. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, there you go. Which is kind of just heterosexual.
Yeah, hold on. It loops back.
It's heterosexual is bisexual.
If I clipped
Or
the podcast more, this would be the clips.
Semi-sexual.
Yeah, partially.
Yep, no. Happy
Wait a
Pride.
minute.
This is good stuff.
Oh my god, this is like the fucking moment in The Shining where he sees himself in the picture. How long have you had a Star Trek picture in your background? I'm literally just now noticing it.
It's new, yeah. Amanda got it for me off Facebook Marketplace.
Folks, if you're watching the video version, check out Magellan's background. I did not see that until right now. We've been on the phone for like an hour and a half. What the fuck?
That's the cast. That's the cast
That's
right there.
so good. Aw. Also, the table moved. The cup is now behind you. There's a lot of things. Things are happening.
That was not on purpose. I just probably had to move some things around.
Yeah, I figured. Okay. Locking back in. Another hilarious Spock moment. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, keep talking. I'm looking up the word bisexual.
Thank you.
Keep talking.
You better be. Another hilarious Spock moment when he claims to be immune to the tribble cooing, and he's just kind of like grading, like, I definitely don't like it. You're like, ah, Spock, you can like it. You can be also not immune to it. That's cute. Similarly, characterful moment. Scotty's new bit is saying every single thing was made by the Russians. This is another one of those things that's like, if you don't watch the show, then you might assume this is Scotty's entire bit. Unfortunately, he doesn't get that many bits, but this is one. Not Scotty. Chekhov, excuse me, not Scotty. Chekhov saying everything was made by the Russians. It's good. It's a good thing all the names are kind of like racially coded to make it really easy to remember which one is which. You know, Chekhov, the Russian. Scotty, the Scottish one. So yeah, Chekhov always saying everything is made by the Russians is like a very simplified version of what Chekhov is. And then my last quick note, in this episode, the Klingons call the Klingon language Klingoni instead of Klingon, which is a detail you only pay attention to if you've watched this episode now 3 times in your life.
I thought he called it Klingonese.
Klingonese? Maybe. Klingonese makes more sense. Klingon is correct. Right. It's canonically correct. Right. But
the way the guy says it, Klingonese, is really
it might be Klingonese. Yeah, Klingonese. That's all I got. What about you? Anything else?
Yeah, I really enjoy that the bad guy of this episode, in some ways it's the Klingons, but really a big bad guy is like this agricultural administrator guy. And it's like, shut up, dude. We don't care about your crops. No, you work for me. That's just kind of fun. There's these 2 lines in a row where Kirk repeats himself for some reason. He says, storage compartments. The what?
Yeah,
why are you doing it like that? I don't know if it was written that way and it was supposed to be inflected differently each time, and Shatner just like gave them the exact same inflection, but it was strange. I like the bartender's weird little jacket, and I like this set. You know, I didn't think about it when we watched The Trouble with Tribbles, because we were watching it in isolation. But like, of course, this bar is just a set that's here for this episode. Mm-hmm. It felt though when we watched it like, oh yeah, this bar's got like a nice kind of purple vibe. We're seeing it from a bunch of different angles. It's fun to be here. This must be a bar that they go to a lot in TOS, but of course they don't. But it's a fun set.
Yeah, I feel like especially starting in TNG, they make each like set piece. It's like they made the show around the set pieces. They had the set pieces first. Mm-hmm. So like, this is what the Enterprise looks like. In this, they kind of like make sets as they're needed. which means because it's
Yes.
like this is a bar fight, we need a bar. Okay, sure. I guess the Enterprise can have a bar. It makes sense. Although we can just replicate drinks, so like, why do we need a bar? We got the social aspect of people hanging out. Sure, I get that. TNG has a great bar. I digress. Yeah, it's weird that like this is just suddenly a bar that we have. It's not like been established.
No, but you're right that in TNG it's like Picard's ready room or the like meeting chamber. Those rooms get visited a lot and they're always arranged a certain way. And in TOS, we go to like the transporter room and the door's always in the same place. Like there is a consistency to it, but it doesn't quite feel like a space that exists in the way that in TNG or DS9, it's like,
Quark's
this
bar.
is Sisko's office. Yeah, Quark's bar, exactly. I love the visual joke where the Tribble salesman guy comes back to try to sell the bartender another Tribble, and the bartender just keeps taking Tribbles out from under the bar.
I think you said you liked that the first
30
time.
of them. It's funny.
It's very.
He puts like 30 of them on there.
It's the actor, the way he facially goes like,
Yeah, he sits in each one. It's a good.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like they probably filmed that a couple times. Like, how much can you sell this? Give us as much as you can non-verbally.
This one's good. Probably.
Yeah, definitely. I have nothing. I know that sometimes it's like we have controversial opinions on Star Trek. I have nothing wrong with Turbo Tribbles. This is a good episode. It's still good.
Yeah, it's just fun.
I think it'll always be good. Less good. 216. The Gamesters of Triskelion, which is again really fun to say. The Gamesters of Triskelion is an episode where a bunch of an alien race that has like isolated their consciousness to these little orbs have philosophical ideas about how other human races should compose themselves, including enslaving them and making them do gladiatorial combat because they no longer need anything. So they're like, well, what do we do except make other races fight for our entertainment? And Kirk gets to justify humanity and why we shouldn't have to fight other people. To me, this premise is very Star Trek TOS. Kirk moralizing to a superior alien being about why humans are actually good, not bad, is like TOS in a nutshell. So this episode felt very workmanlike in that way. Like, oh, sure, you're going to have all these different, what are they called? Like the thralls?
Yep.
For each of the people. That's cool. We're going to do some weird, again, misogyny checklist. Chekhov's woman is like beefy and scary. He's intimidated because she's kind of buff. Except she's really cool, and they all, as usual, they fuck that up and make me like her more by making her like cool and badass. Kirk has to be a little bit misogynist and explain to a woman in latex that she's beautiful by holding up a tray to her and being like, "Look at how hot you are." Sucks. This is just like, this is the, again, I say this when I say quintessential TOS, what I also mean by extension is like, this is an episode that Futurama would make fun of. To a T. It's just pretty simple. Kirk gets shirtless and fights people. I have to fight the woman now. It's like, but I will give them credit. Female director. No,
That's
not
nice.
female director. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Script writer. Margaret Arman wrote this episode. So one of the rare TOS episodes written by a woman, except besides DC Fontana. Thoughts? Gamesters of Triskelion.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that this episode has a little more interest in the interiority of the female lead than other ones do, because the end of the episode is her fighting with Kirk, like, hey, you lied to me.
Yeah.
What the hell? But then she's like, oh, I want to come with you, please. I love you, Kirk. Oh, don't leave me, Kirk. Oh, my goodness. But I don't know. This one, especially in retrospect, this is the first of multiple episodes in this stretch with gladiatorial fighting.
Yeah.
It's the first of multiple episodes in this stretch where there's a super advanced alien race that has their consciousness inside like thingies. In this case, they're these little brains.
Yep.
It's the first of this stretch where Kirk teaches a woman how to kiss, and she's like, I've never kissed before. Oh my goodness. There's just like only so many ideas in season 2 of Star Trek TOS, and they're not awesome ideas. Like none of those are super, super interesting to me. There's also just weird, like what happened with the guy who went into Uhura's cell and
Yeah.
we cut
Assaulted
to
her.
commercial. He assaulted her in some way. We don't know how long we were away from that situation in the commercial break or what. And the episode really only cares about Kirk. Like, no, my woman is being attacked by this alien man. Oh no, Uhura. But like, do we spend much time with her after that moment? Not really. I don't know what they're doing with Chekhov and the woman that he's hanging out with, and how I'm supposed to be interpreting any of it. It's all just like so strange. And then of course Kirk is like, "Wow, don't you know that I'm hot and we should kiss, baby?" Not fun.
No, not fun at all.
But I do like the premise of these aliens are like super powerful, the little brains in the jar, but they also really like to gamble and they like honor their bets. That's just a funny premise for some bad guys. I love gambling bad guys.
They're bored.
Yep.
Let's go gambling.
Yeah.
My bigger point about the aliens in this one is like, sometimes I'm not in the mood to watch Kirk smugly talk down to advanced cultures and be like, you guys don't get it. You can't. It's like, and the reason for that, I think it's inspiring in the moment. And I think there's a speech from Kirk later that I actually love, which is exactly this of like, here's why humans should be this. So I'm not always against this, but I kind of like my sci-fi to imply that we're going to get smarter and not stupider as our society progresses. Like this kind of implies to me that when presented with an excess of resources, society is going to get so bored that it has to like, you know, treat other races like playthings and make them fight for our entertainment. And like, I just personally don't believe in that philosophically. I understand where that's coming from, especially in the 1960s, this idea of like, what are we even doing if we don't get our shit together? But like, it just it brings back to me the idea of like, is Star Trek optimistic? Has it ever been optimistic about the future? In some ways, it definitely is. We have resources, we have things we can do that we can't do now, but they also imply that like every alien race in the future is evil or magically corrupt in some way or another. That's all.
Yeah, if the show feels very preoccupied, like you're saying, you know, it makes sense in the 60s, very preoccupied with the ways that the future could turn towards egalitarianism or totalitarianism, and like that being a thing that we have to be really watchful of.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ironic, this show that's like space exploration, wow, look at our cool starship, is also a show that kind of every technological advancement that's presented as new in an episode is suspect, and like something to be, you know, cautioned against or feared or whatever. And I guess to some extent that's part of the point of science fiction, is like we're gonna study what the world would be like if this thing changed. But yeah, there is this very holier than thou, like
exactly,
almost like socially conservative kind of, like these are our values and they're the right values, and anything that's different from this is wrong. And I don't know. Yeah, I agree.
Did you know that this episode is where Beam Me Up Scotty comes from?
Really?
Yeah, well, it's actually a misheard. Tell me if you've heard this before. A sci-fi series has an iconic line that is misheard and misquoted. It's almost as if Star Wars and Star Trek are the same thing. I believe the phrasing in this episode is "Scotty, beam us up." So "beam me up, Scotty" is not actually said directly, but this is where that came from.
Scotty, beam me up, beam us up.
Yeah,
beam me up.
B. C. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't like it.
Okay. Move it on.
I do like the word gamesters, though.
It's so good. I like calling gamers gamesters, TBH. Okay. Also, this episode is parodied in Deep Space Homer, one of the best Simpsons episode ever. part where Barney and Homer fight and they like people, gamble on them. That's from this.
Yeah, they reused the ba, 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 ba,
Yeah, they
and
use the music exactly. 217, a piece of the action. We're going to Sigma Iotia 3, where the exploratory vessel Horizon was reported missing 100 years ago. Magellan, what even happens to this one? What the fuck is this?
Okay, so this is a larger.
Oh, the mob movie one.
Yeah, they go to the Capiche planet.
Good work.
Thanks. This is one that kind of speaks to a larger gripe that I have with this half season, and I don't want to talk about it in too much detail because it pertains to 2 episodes you haven't watched yet, but we're going to talk about in our second half of this recording.
Mm-hmm.
But in one of those later episodes in the season, they introduced this concept that relates to remember in season 1 when they went to like Earth 2 and it was all kids, and we're like, how is this Earth, and there's a concept in the kind of world of Star Trek called it's called the Hodgkin's law of parallel planet development.
I've heard of this.
Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, I am familiar with it.
So in one of the episodes later in the season, Kirk says that line. He's like, oh my gosh, this planet, what a excellent example of Hodgkin's law of parallel planet development. And in the background of all this stuff, essentially the idea is like you got this guy Hodgkins who's sort of the Darwin of the interstellar age. Mm-hmm. And this starts out as a biological concept where, and I don't know when this lore gets backfilled exactly and how much of it is just like they kind of wrote a techno-babbly sounding line in one of these episodes that then gets justified later. Mm-hmm. But the concept is like, okay, Hodgkins goes to these other planets and he finds like, whoa, why do they have this, I don't know, a mollusk. I don't remember the exact animal, but he's like, these mollusks are like just like Earth mollusks. What the heck? That's so weird. And he basically comes up with this biological concept of, when planets have similar environmental characteristics, evolution proceeds in a similar way and produces similar animals. Mm-hmm. And then that gets kind of noticed and applied to sociological development too. So TOS has these episodes where they go to planets that are just like remarkably similar to Earth in some way. And the explanation is like, oh, well, that's just how it goes. Like societies just develop like that.
So, sorry, finish your point.
Go ahead.
No, finish your point.
My point is, I think that is really dumb and I hate it. And it reeks of like Darwin evolution being applied to society with like social Darwinism, and we're gonna now justify a kind of narrow-mindedness, and we know which cultures are the best or whatever based on we're gonna like misapply this biological concept. And this feels of a piece with that, where it's sort of communicating or it's kind of protecting in this almost existential way, like, our society in the 20th century Earth America, it has to be awesome.
Yeah.
So every awesome place we go, or every not awesome place we go, has to be like one for one really similar to something from Earth.
Yeah.
So that we can like be protective of truth, justice, and the American way. And it just kind of points to this like incuriousness about, but what if shit's really weird and people are so different, and that kind of tells you something about, whoa, maybe I don't have it all figured out, or like, whoa, I never thought that someone could be like that. That's pretty wacky. And then you have episodes like this one the piece of the action where they make a planet that's very Earth-like, and they have like a little explanation for it, which is somebody left the mobster book here, and they all read the mobster book and became mobsters. And I don't hate that. I think that's funny and fun. So that's kind of like a big picture point I have about this half a season. But go ahead, you wanted to add on.
No, so first of all, yes, I appreciate that point, and I think it's the Hodgkin's theorem is like a really weird retconny way to explain like the production realities of 1960s television. Like we have the Western set. Let's just do a Star Trek episode in the Wild West. How do we explain that? Well, everything's kind of the same anyway, so it all becomes the Wild West anyways. And it's like, no, it doesn't. You can dream bigger than that, guys. Dream bigger than what you have available on the Paramount lot. From what I briefly Googled, that theorem gets like crystallized in the universe in Enterprise. So we're not going to have to think about that for a very long time. That makes me less and less excited to watch Enterprise. So, tap in for when we get there eventually. I don't like it when they retroactively explain TOS and try to... I feel like so much of Star Trek this is my big theory, is about being like, no, guys, no. TOS was way smarter than you thought. It's like way smarter. And it's like, bro, you're the smart one. No. Stop telling me that your goofy ass, racist ass uncle was actually cool, because he was not cool. He just birthed you. You exist because of him, and that's great. And like, we can respect that, but he's not cool. No amount of writing and explaining is going to make your racist uncle cool. It's just going to make me understand that like he came from a different time and place, which I knew. I'm an adult watching a TV show. It's fine, Yeah. And that's how I feel about all of this stuff. Is like, we're just going to keep doing and then they read the book and they became mobsters. And then they saw a movie, they got a footage and they became Westerners. They got a piece of armor and they became Romans. Like, come on, guys. What are we doing? Tell bigger stories.
Yeah. Right. And part of it is just they should have come up with a holodeck.
It solves this whole problem.
Much easier if they invented the holodeck, and they could have had like Chicago Times in the holodeck or whatever. But yeah, what was I gonna say? I forget.
I think you were going to say Jojo Krakow is the greatest mobster name ever written.
I really like it. There's this goblin from one of the planes of magic, which is called Ravnica, and the goblin's name is Krenko. So whenever they were talking about Krakow, I was just picturing this like goblin mob boss guy. And that was fun to me.
Let me look up Krenko.
Krenko, yeah, he's just kind of a green little
goblin. Oh, yeah, that's just a little goblin. Dude. No, but he's green, lowercase g, green goblin. Got it. Adorable.
I think one of his cards is called Krenko Mob Boss. I believe.
Yeah, here it is. Yes, listener, I'm on DuckDuckGo. Yes, I know. I've switched to web browsers to Firefox. Anyways, moving back.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, something I like about episodes like this one, a piece of the action, and then there's another one later. One of the ones that you're actually about to watch it, Omega, whatever it's called. That one is one where it's like, whoa, kind of a similar planet development. That's crazy. But it also has this thing that I like, which is we get to a planet, it's messed up. We learn about the fact that there was a previous Starfleet captain who was here and messed it up. And so in this one, it's like, oh no, we've like already kind of messed up the prime directive because we left some books here, and now all these guys are Chicago gangsters. So there's some awareness on the part of TOS to be like, wait a minute, the thing that Starfleet's doing is not this kind of foolproof, definitely good thing. It's very dependent on the competence and morality of these kind of like cowboy captains who are strolling in and doing whatever. And we're just lucky that Kirk is, the best and a good guy. But I do appreciate that admission of the possibility for things to go wrong and for Starfleet to be doing some genuinely like destructive bad things in the universe.
Isn't there a part literally early in this episode where they reference the Prime Directive? It's like, we can't go there.
I think
yeah,
they mention it, and in that other one, there's a moment where Kirk's like, "Fuck, this guy." He's like doing his captain's log, and he's like, "Fuck, this guy broke the Prime Directive. I can't believe it."
Yeah.
And it's like, Kirk, my
My
brother
man.
in Christ, you just broke the Prime Directive like 5 times. But sure,
Well,
you can wring your hands.
I believe the argument in this one, which is so funny, is somebody's like, wouldn't it break the Prime Directive if Spock says it? He's like, doesn't us being there violate the Prime Directive on this planet? And Kirk's like, it was already broken. It's actually free real estate. We can do it again. If it was done once, we can do it as much as we want.
Yeah. Which is just not sound logic, but
not even a little bit. No. Some good lines. Oh, sorry.
Yep. No, go ahead.
Sir, does everyone here carry firearms? Deeply critical of the United States. I see you. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that this is accurate to mob movies and not like The Mob, because the mob movies were like more coming out at the time of this. So it's kind of like, we're doing the movie thing that you like. I love when you get your mob culture from a book. That's fantastic. I love a new Star Trek game. They talk about playing Fizbin. He's like, I'm going to show you guys how to play Fizbin. He confuses the mobsters. Of course, it's not real, which made me think about how fun it would be to improvise a card game in real time. Like, but John looked at camera like his eyes just lit up like bing.
Interesting.
Well, just like, there's like those Pro CD sketches where he's like, oh, like you explained the cow and the cheese game. And like, imagine having to do that in real time, but because you have so much card game brainworms, you like have to try and make it sound real. And then now, as a game developer, try and make the game.
That sounds pretty fun. You just get some dry erasable cards and some dry erase markers.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, well, I cast Cheese Man. He turns every man into cheese.
And when you're cheese, for the next 2 turns, you have to melt. And then if you're not fully melted by the end, then you can return to human form. Yeah. Get in there.
Good luck.
Kirk, I'm obsessed with Kirk getting caught by the mob, evading one mobster, and then forgetting that there's more than one and getting caught again like 2 seconds later. The whole prison escape sequence is so funny. Is this the episode where they're in jail and he steps on Spock's shoulders? No, I think that's a later one.
I think that's a later one.
I love this. I just love it. Oh no, and my last note was obviously him like getting them to cooperate by giving them a communicator and being like, now share, be good. Hilarious. They never want to solve a problem in Star Trek TOS. They're just like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be here. Go away. I wrote that this episode feels like Sam and Max. It feels like an adventure game. Just like, we're in gangster universe. You're gonna get caught by the gangsters. You gotta get a Tommy gun, get the heaters. Oh, how do I get a heater? It's very adventure gamey. And I say that about like every Star Trek away team episode, but this one felt very adventure gamey.
Yeah, and it earns that because, again, in world, the explanation is like, oh, these guys based their whole society on like a book about Chicago gangsters.
Correct.
So it being this very tropey, one step away from reality thing is justified by how it got this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few other lines that were really fun to me. I love at the beginning when Kirk is kind of calling in and the guy doesn't understand all this techno babble, and Kirk's like, look, I'm gonna come beam down. You don't know what that means, but like, what's a good place to meet you? And the guy goes, well, there's an intersection down the street. Later a guy says to Dr. McCoy, don't give me those baby blue eyes. And DeForest Kelly has those baby blue eyes, I'll tell you that much.
Handsome guy. I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
At one point, one of the Chicago guys says, it happens, pal, which is a good, aggressive line.
Yeah, the actors sell this mob stuff really well. Credit to them.
A great line. Listen, Pally, this could either be a taxi or a hearse. Know what I mean? Kirk says, I'm beginning to get the idea.
Yeah, I don't. Don't know what you mean.
And then I like the kid who helps them get into the like base or the mobster base or whatever. And the kid's like, hey, what's my piece of the action? And then the kid goes and pretends to get hurt. And the mobster guys go, what's the matter? You hurt yourself, kid? Ah, he's a cute kid, ain't he? Like they're kind of
Yeah.
about how he's such a good kid while they're trying
Good
to help
kid.
him out.
That's the kid who helps him get into the base.
Yeah.
Love it. That guy was fun.
Uh-huh.
A fun lad.
That's a B to me. It's fine and fun.
Yeah, I think B is definitely right. I agree. Let's crank a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got 218, the immunity syndrome. I didn't read any summary for this one, so I went into it knowing nothing, and I found it very challenging to follow as a result. Rest and recreation. Whenever they start an episode and say, we just want to go and relax and not do anything hard, you know something bad is going to happen. That's on some Deep Space Nine type shit. I'm going to Ryza. No, you're not. You're never going to Ryza. Can you summarize this one a little bit?
I'll try. I think this is a classic example of a TOS problem, which is they spend 30 minutes getting to the 15 minutes that they want to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, Spock senses all these Vulcans die with his Spock Vulcan powers or something. Whoa, there's this space hole. They're looking at the window. There's a big space hole. They keep getting closer to the space hole and everyone's getting sick. And they're like, maybe we should not get close to the space hole. It's like, well, I don't know. Seems like that's where the plot is. So they keep going. Nurse Chapel's around and that's something. And then eventually they're like, okay, the way to stop the space hole is to send antimatter into it. And we need somebody to do that. Okay, Spock, you're the only one who can do it. So Spock does, but then almost dies. And then McCoy's like, shut up, Spock, we're rescuing you. And he says, thank you, Captain McCoy. And that's about it.
Spock is quite good in this episode. He has one of the coldest lines
Very
of the
good.
whole show.
Yep.
I don't know if you caught this early on. He's,
Which one?
I think, arguing with Bones and talking about, like, you know, should we let one person die for a bunch of people? You find it easier to understand the death of one than the death of a million. You speak of the coldness of the Vulcan heart, yet how little room there seems to be in yours.
Damn.
Oh my god. This is the Spock that I love, who's just like, hey, humans, what the fuck? Why are you like this? This is my favorite kind of Spock. And like kissing Kirk, ideally, but that's different. That's different.
My other favorite Spock is later in the episode when he's in the shuttlecraft in the dangerous situation, and he says, Dr. McCoy, you would not have survived it. And McCoy's like, you want to bet? I'm gonna kill that Spock.
Yeah, this is just like a good Bones and Spock episode. I feel like I wrote in my notes, every chunk of episodes they decide, like, this is my OTP. This is gonna be a Kirk Spock chunk, or this is gonna be a Bones Spock. This is extremely a Bones Spock chunk, which is a fun series of words to say, by the way. I recommend it.
Official something pairing.
One true pairing.
What is OTP? One true pairing.
Sorry, that was like a very Tumblr word. I forgot that is.
No, I want to learn.
One true pairing. So whenever you're like, this is the ship in the show that is the real ship, the OTP, the one true pairing.
Yeah, it feels like this episode, the most that we've gotten out of it as a culture is probably some clips for like a Spock Bones compilation, like a fan cam of the two of them or something.
Yes.
But otherwise, there's not much going on here. So I would say it's a C.
Yeah. I like Spock. That's all.
Yeah. We like Spock and we don't care who knows.
Spock. Vulcans. Oh. Spock.
Okay, 219, a private little war.
Do we have to?
I know.
I feel bad because... Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You feel bad?
I feel bad because at the time, it is cool to do a Vietnam War episode. Now, this feels so unnecessary and dated to do a clunky Vietnam War analog, guys.
Is that what you're getting from this one? That it's a Vietnam thing?
Yeah, most definitely.
Tell me more.
Well, it's the then current Vietnam War, right? And they talk a lot about like, well, if we arm them and they're equally armed on both, because they go to this planet, there's people fighting, there's races of people. There's also like some Asian suggestion in the race of the people there. We do get the introduction of Dr. Meng. I'll talk about that in a sec. It just feels like the solution being like, what if we just arm them equally? That'll be fine. What if we just influence them this way? What if we get involved? Should we get Starfleet involved? How many guns should we bring? Is very Vietnam. Which again, it was current. So I think that this is like, at the time, this episode was probably great because it's like them putting their finger on the pulse of what people are talking about. Like, why are we going over there? What are we trying to fix? What problem are we trying to solve? And nowadays, it's just, the U.S. goes to war with so many countries for so many obvious and evil reasons that we're so past being jaded by the fact that we've gone to war that it's looped around. And it's sad that this episode has become less interesting.
Well, and it's not critical of that, right? Like, doesn't it walk away basically saying that the thing we're supposed to do is like arm both sides of the conflict?
I think it's sad because Kirk says at the end we need to beam down 100 flintlock rifles, and Scotty's like, really, 100 what? And he's like, beam down 100 serpents for the Garden of Eden. Like, what we're doing for them is not good. It will temporarily solve the problem, but we're not fixing shit. I think this episode is in fact critical of the Vietnam War in a like, the characters make a bad decision and have to sit with it kind of way.
Interesting. Okay, that makes me like it a little bit more if we can interpret it as the characters are like, well, we don't have a better solution, but we need to sort of like supply both sides of this war to reduce the overall death, or one side doesn't win or whatever. Like that's a position that I think is kind of morally bankrupt in retrospect. And I could see, it's the 60s, you're getting certain information about the world and the communist threat, and you don't yet know what happens when the US like arms the Taliban to fight Russia. And then it's like, whoops, that caused other problems. I see. But yeah, like you were saying, in retrospect, you're just like, guys, it's hard to buy into this in any way being a good idea. Yeah.
I think it's sad. I think it's just a really depressing episode. And I do like the ending. I do like Kirk being like, just beam down some guns. I don't fucking know. We can't fix this. We're in it. We've like led to so much harm. And, for as much criticism as I give the show sometimes for having like the perspective of a bunch of grizzled like World War veterans, I think a lot of them see this conflict and go like, seriously, again? You guys are really going to send us out to war again? For what? That's where I do view this episode favorably at the time. I just don't find it interesting anymore. Like, if I were to watch this today, I'd be like, I don't care.
Well, and by this time, it's like not just World War II, but Korean War. Now we're going to Vietnam. It's like we're in the midst of proxy wars of the Cold War period in a bunch of different places, as well as the U.S. arming, coups and guerrilla groups and all that shit. So
exactly.
It also sucks that like parallel to that, there's this weird kind of like Samson and Delilah, like she's a witchy woman who's stealing powers, and Kirk, you just can't resist her because she did the sex blood ritual, but this woman is bad. It's like, okay, I'm good, guys. I don't need this. I don't need the scene where McCoy and Tyree are in the bunked cuck chairs. Like, this is not something that we need to have in the episode. No, thank you.
Don Ingalls' first draft of the script had specific references to the Vietnam War, such as Mongolian-type clothes and a character described as a, quote, Ho Chi Minh type. Yeah. Other early ideas included Kirk's friendship with Tyree developing completely during his second visit to the planet, and a personal conflict between him and the Klingon. This episode is generally agreed to be pretty sexist in its presentation of Nona, and that the episode, this is the point here, in trying too hard to be an allegory for the war in Vietnam, fails to find a peaceful Star Trek solution to the problem. Like, it's sad. It just, and I think that's okay. I don't think that's a bad thing, but it's just like,
Yeah.
this is my thing. It's like, usually Star Trek to me is like kind of hopeful, or it like causes us to reflect in meaningful ways. This almost feels more like, like Babylon 5e, you know? Like, oh man, we thought we had everything together. We brought our problems with us.
Yeah, but even Babylon 5 does that, and then eventually gets to the point where it's like, but it's our time to make change. If we like really kind of hold on to that and do the right thing and stick by each other, we just might be able to get through it and do something differently. This feels very defeatist.
Yes.
And very like, I don't even know. I can't even bother to think about a different version of this. It's just, maybe
that's how people felt, though.
Vietnam. I know that's how people felt, but it's you know, I disagree.
My two things from this episode that will come up later. I don't need to do a future segment on these. Mugato was originally Gumato, and that was where DeForest Kelley was like, I can't say Gumato. So Mugato. I think that's correct. Yeah, and then because of that, later there is a Star Trek Lower Decks episode called Mugato Gumato. Star Trek Lower Decks seems fucking awesome. Like, imagine not just like, what trivia is that? Not only do you have to know the episode, but you have to know the trivia about what they originally named the characters. That's crazy. And then lastly, this episode introduces Dr. Mbenga, who is the doctor that helps Spock out and will eventually become a major character on Star Trek Strange New Worlds. That's all I'm going to say. I know people don't want me to talk about that show. He's one of the best characters on that show. This is just literally, they picked a guy. They said he's African American. He's a doctor. There's nothing else there. And then Strange New Worlds was like, who is that? That guy that's a character. And he's cool. I like him.
I do like the whole little C plot with him and Spock and Chapel, where he's like, when he wakes up, do exactly what he says. She's like, exactly? And he's like, yeah, it's clear enough, right? Then Spock's waking up and he's like, baby, you gotta slap me. Slap me in the
I mean,
face.
really hard. Just beat me
Please. Up. I can't wake up unless you slap me.
Love it. C? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Do you have more? I don't need to.
No, I don't have more. C's good.
220 Return to Tomorrow. The alien Sargon is voiced by James Doohan, aka Scotty.
I was listening for that after reading that, and I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, I think he's doing a really heavy fake accent when he does Scotty. So in this, he's like, this is kind of just how he sounds.
That much is clear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's Canadian. James Doohan's not Scottish. Isn't that fun? This also features the actress who will go on to play Dr. Pulaski, Diana Muldaur, as Dr. Anne Mulhall. She played another doctor. That's crazy. One show later, she gets to play a completely different character. In a character who was introduced to TNG in an effort to recreate the Bones and Spock relationship, where it's like Pulaski and Data, except the difference is that Pulaski is too mean to Data, and it's not funny when you're not Bones and Spock. Anyways,
when you're a woman.
I mean, you're right.
Stare at the camera.
No, you're right. Yeah, so
I really liked her in this episode.
Yeah, she's fun. She's actually quite fun. They're building androids. They have to invest. They have to go into the human. There's these aliens. They go into the human bodies, into the Star Trek people's bodies. They want to test the bodies out so that they can get the technology ready to build it. They have androids and put themselves into those. But they realize, wait, I kind of like being in here. This episode's great because every actor gets to play off type, especially Leonard Nimoy, who smiles more in this episode than he has in the entire series. He gets to be mean. He gets to be excited. He gets to be jealous, angry, horny, everything. I love what this episode does for Leonard Nimoy's acting. You get to see a showcase of all his range. It's a bummer sometimes that they have to do that by making it an alien, but that's Star Trek. Sometimes you play the role of another king. And later Star Trek shows will go on to do this exact concept so much better. So much better. Remember the DS9 episode where they have the different parts of Dax? That's cool. They do this kind of idea a lot better. But in this one, if you can get over the annoying echo effect of all the aliens talking through people and how persistent that is, this is quite a good episode of TV. IMO.
Yeah, I really like this one a lot. And I think it's a good choice that the one that wants to stay in the body is the one inside Spock, because it creates some tension and fear out of like, well, we know that Spock is always saying that he's physically superior to everyone, and Vulcans always have these kind of surprise little powers that we don't know about.
Right.
So it is a bad time when the alien that's willing to kill to stay in its body is in the Spock body. And yeah, like you're saying, Leonard Nimoy is so fun in this one. Yeah, this is it's a really fun episode. I think this is probably the first A of the bunch for me, besides Trouble with Tribbles, which we'd seen before.
Yeah, I agree. It does what it's trying to do very well.
I really liked it. Mm-hmm. There's some good lines. When Sargon first goes into Kirk's body, he says, "Your captain has an excellent body, Dr. McCoy." I like that.
Yummy.
Kirk really tries to sell everybody on like, it'll be totally cool for these guys to take over my body, no problem. He says, risk is our business. He's like hitting the table.
That part's great.
Okay. He's like, I'm not going to order you to do this, but who's with me?
Come on.
I'm writing everybody's quarterly reports right now. And then a great moment where the lady alien is like, come on, McCoy, let me stay in this body. He says, you're asking my approval. She says, I require only your silence.
Oh,
damn.
It's kind of ice cold. Yeah, once again.
Yeah. And then, little thing at the end, the Sargon tucked Spock's consciousness away in a place nobody would look, inside Nurse Chapel. So they kind of shared consciousness for a bit. It's pretty hot.
Oh yeah, yum yum yum.
That's pretty hot.
I wonder if that relationship will ever get fleshed out. Who could say? Before we go to the next one, can I run to the bathroom real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, BRB.
BRB. Party rock is in the mouse tonight. Everybody just eating the pie. We just want to see you donk, donk, donk. Pizza. Hi, Melon. What? Meow. You're hungry? Meow. Look at this little creature. If you're not a piece of paper, why are you in the paper box? Every day I'm shuffling. Yes, are you a cat or a piece of paper? Are you a cat or a piece of paper? Are you a cat or a piece of paper? Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come on.
I'm back.
Come on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome back.
Thank you. I can cut there and then just come back.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me put a note somewhere.
Every day I'm shuffling. Shuffle.
Okay. And I will come back with this. I'll introduce the next one.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2. The next episode on our discussion is 221, Patterns of Force. That's right, folks. I watched 3 episodes in one day, and I was like, maybe one more. What could this one possibly be? Probably so simple. Oh, whoa, shit. That's the Nazi episode. Oh, boy. Whoa, a thermonuclear missile attacked the Enterprise. Who the hell has thermonuclear missiles? We have to go there. Oh, it's Earth-like. You mentioned earlier, by the way, Michelle, speaking of this one and what we're going to talk about later, how like they don't go to Earth, but they go to Earth-like planets because of that theorem. It's interesting because my girlfriend this morning was like, hey, does Star Trek ever go to Earth? And I was like, well, yeah. And also no. And also yes, because later in the series, we go to San Francisco to go to Starfleet headquarters. But we go to Earth, quotation marks, all the time. All the time. Sometimes we go to Earth in DS9 and we go to actual Earth. It's weird. It's a hard question to answer. But in this one, we go to a world where a race of people were influenced by a historian who brought down a culture then because they were struggling to get by and they were going to be extinct. And so he had the brilliant idea of introducing them to Nazi Germany and thought, it'll probably be fine. They'll just get the go-getterness and the good attitude and the like ability to improve after conflict, and that'll be perfect. And they probably won't get the fascism, right? Whoops, they accidentally totally got the fascism and like oppressed another race. And it's up to Spock and Kirk to dress up as Nazis and fight the Nazis. John, you look really unhappy. Talk to me, my friend. Talk to me.
I mean, you know, it's nice that Star Trek is anti-fascist.
Yeah.
That's good. But it's kind of anti-fascist in a dumb way, in my opinion.
Anti-fascist parentheses, not good.
Yeah, derogatory.
Yeah.
Because first of all, whatever, we can imagine that there's like this absolute ding-dong idiot of a historian who's like, oh, the thing that you guys need is to be exactly Nazi Germany. And then you'll be able to like make the trains run on time. And that'll be good. Which is just absurd on its face. But then kind of the thesis of the episode is like, hey, this guy, they're taking it as a given. They're accepting like, oh yeah, Nazi Germany was super
efficient,
productive, and efficient. And I'm just like, I'm not willing to hand it to them, which is kind of what the episode is wanting. Because then they're like, but you know, that efficiency comes at the cost of somebody having a lot of power, and that's bad. And even though textually there's this group of people that is the stand-in for all the groups of people, especially the Jews, but the Holocaust we know is queer people, disabled people, different ethnic minorities as well. So like all of the people who the Nazis subjugated and systematically killed through genocide, even though there's like a group that is analogous here, the episode does not get to the point where it's like, you can't do fascism because it always has that part. It's like, you can't do fascism because it's totalitarianism.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really take issue with, because in my opinion of, and kind of definition of fascism, core to it is this notion that there is an outgroup or a set of outgroups, and core to the way that you like bind people together in a fascist nation state is through hyper nationalist, hyper misogynistic, hyper like racist, racial supremacist ideology. It's not just totalitarianism, it's like a certain kind. So yeah, I was annoyed by this one, but it was also entertaining.
I think what gives me a somewhat more favorable review of it, besides the fact that it is ultimately anti-fascist, it's trying to be, and it's from the people who, I have to give it to them, did fight the Nazis. Like were there. This episode makes me think about something that like really it changed my life, which is that when I went to DC a couple of years ago, I went to the Holocaust Museum. It was really interesting because I didn't plan to go there. I wanted to go to every other museum, but they were all booked, and I was like, I guess I'll go to the Holocaust Museum. It's probably sad. It is. but it's also really enlightening. And there was this really fascinating panel in one of the exhibits about, it was like a poll of the average American during the rise of Nazi Germany, essentially asking them, do you support the Nazi regime? And it was like, I really wish I had the exact percentage, or I took a picture of it. Actually, I might have taken a picture of it somewhere. It's like 70 no, 30 yes. 30% of Americans there, and I don't quote me on the percentage, but like a larger percentage like than you would
a
hope.
Higher percentage of support or a higher percentage of apathy than you would want to see
in the midst of the rise of it. Yeah. And so that makes me think, like, even the people who fought it were like, yeah, awful evil because of the big guy, but like they really bounced back from World War One really efficiently, so smart. And you're like, no, that's not how, that doesn't work like that. It doesn't just and the show is kind of saying like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. But it also has this whole point about like, well, even historians can be wrong sometimes. And you're like, no, that's not the point either. That's not why this happens. And it's sad, and it's a classic, like, we're going to help the oppressed. We're going to like sneak into the tunnels, and we're going to fight people, and and it's funny. Like, the episode tries to be really funny with like, we're filming the woman. She's a rebel. Let's, here's the camera. And all the Nazis are so stupid. And even their leader is a man who doesn't know why he's there, and he's been drugged into submission by somebody who wants power. Like, it just, it has to, it's not making
you of anyone, by the way.
Bing bong. Huh, interesting. Thank you for saying that. Yes. That's the part that's more timely than like talking about Nazi Germany. This idea of like, we have this old man who may have said things a while ago, but like he's being puppeted and kept alive by just like the basic thing to say what other people want him to say. Yeah, it's sad. It's the episode tends to be like a funny adventure, and this is like wham bam pow, fight the Nazis. This is American propaganda at its finest. Yes, we should fight the Nazis for sure. I'm with you on that, but I argue with your method of getting there. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think what's at play here for me that I find frustrating is, Star Trek is a show that is trying to say it's anti-totalitarian, trying to say it's anti-imperialist, but it's very pro-America in the mid-20th century.
Big time. Hugely.
And when you're very pro-America in the mid-20th century, that means you are capitalism brained. That means that you are militarism brained. And that means that you are a third thing that I forgot that I was going to say. And then you look at Nazi Germany and you're like, damn, those guys are kind of capitalism brained and they're kind of militarism brained. I guess I gotta, and it means you're ethno-state brained.
There it is.
If you're pro-America in the mid-20th century. You're like, ethno-state, cool. Yeah, I live in one of those and it seems chill for everybody involved. So it just limits your ability to see fascism for what it is and be critical of it, when fascism is a political system that like the architects of the Nazi legal system were looking over Jim Crow laws and taking notes.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Correct.
And there's also this need to be like, okay, the Nazis were bad and now the communists are bad. Like the Soviet Union's bad. So we need to have some answer for how are both of those things bad in the same way that is not a way that America's bad.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess there was one big bad guy with facial hair, and that's not good to be. So we're upset about that. Yeah. So it's just like, I'm good, guys. Don't talk to me about history because you're not gonna interpret it in a way that I find satisfactory.
But the Zeons, as a Gundam fan, hearing the oppressed race called the Zeons is really funny. Zeons being the bad guy, quote unquote, before you yell at me, bad guys in Mobile Suit Gundam. I know, guys. I watched the shows. Don't yell at me. Yeah, I wrote in my notes, wow, the 60s were fucking nuts. You could just do this. Well, at least you could do this. At least you could have Kirk put on a fucking Nazi swastika patch and be like, this is horrible. We got to beat these fuckers up. And you're like, we talk shit about this episode, but on the other hand, like, we are too cowardly to even, or we're too steeped in our fascist present now that we wouldn't do this. We wouldn't do a fighting Nazi scene, even though everyone wants to fight Nazis so badly.
I know. That's the one thing that, yeah, it's like, how did we get further back than this? Because you can go on TV in 1968 or whatever and feel that everybody's watching this like, oh yeah, if you're wearing Nazi stuff, you're the bad guy. Obviously.
Yeah, easy.
That's
done.
Fine.
Clean.
We're not worried about anybody going and taking Nazi iconography and using it, you know, to do social ills or to do violence to people today.
Like the scene where Bones gets teleported on and he's like putting on the boots, he like looks cool. He like, I know he's like, the boots don't fit, but it's like, you look cool and handsome. And I think this is a big reason why the German television does not air Patterns of Force anymore, or never did. They like banned this episode from airing in Germany.
Interesting. That makes sense.
Yeah, they were like, no, I don't care. This is you guys fighting Nazis. It's still like, I don't want this American take on the most like shameful moment in our history to be depicted to the average German. They don't need to see this. If anything, I actually give them a lot of credit for that. Like, you don't need this. This episode is no longer needed in today's society, or even in the 60s, depending on who you were. But it's iconic for a reason. The guys are wearing the outfits. It's still fun. I can't give this episode like a too low of a grade because like the moment to moment of it, I just enjoy a lot.
Yeah,
the action of it.
The action is definitely entertaining. I would just be okay with a B.
Yeah,
at the highest, personally.
I think that's fair, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
it's like a B with caveats.
Yeah, let's do one more episode, and then we'll take a break and come back with the last 4.
Brilliant.
Okay, so this one is episode 22. It's called By Any Other Name. And essentially, we're hanging out with some dudes who are like super powerful aliens that are in human form. And they're like, we're going to take you to our home planet so that we can conquer stuff and it'll be awesome. And we're going to turn you into salt. And actually, it turns out being a human is sick. Never mind. Bye.
See ya, losers.
And that's the episode. It's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun one.
They turn everybody into cubes. Or cuboctahedral blocks, if you want to be annoying. And I know you do. This episode gets kind of funny at the end. Again, I wrote in my notes earlier, you can skip. Also, the episode we just talked about is where Kirk and Spock are shirtless in a prison cell, climbing on each other's backs if you need more spurt.
Hot.
Like, yeah, if you want more spurt material. Anyways,
spurt.
I wrote earlier in my notes that you could skip the first like 15 minutes of a lot of TOS episodes, presumably because like mom and dad are getting a drink. We're like sitting at the TV. They kind of like build it around like,
sure.
We're vibe setting. Okay, here's story. Like we're not even telling the story until at least 20 minutes into an episode. Which is how this one felt too. It's like, okay, we got aliens. They take over. Great. How'd they do it? Well, they have these belts that can freeze people. Okay, what do we do? Take the belts. Okay, how do we do that? Well, they're in human bodies, so they have human emotions like taste. And so one of them, Scotty, gets really drunk. One of them, Bones, fills full of drugs. That's pretty cool. You're like, what does each character get to do with their alien captor? What about Kirk? Well, his captor is a woman. And so he introduces her to the concept of love and romance and sex and kissing. And her male partner alien is like, no, I'm mad because I experienced the emotion of jealousy. And then that's how they save the day. By flirting with the women so hard that they want to leave their man. This is kind of crazy. Cut that whole plot out of the episode and you got a sauce, man. Everything else, great.
Yeah. I hated it less than Kirk flirting with the green hair lady in the other episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially because it ends up with her being like, I kind of want to kiss my boyfriend, but thanks for teaching me about kissing Kirk. See you later.
Yeah, she has a little bit of autonomy there.
My favorite was the guy who was like, damn, that food looks really good.
Yeah, the guy who gets really drunk. Like, I love that.
You give me print me out a fruit salad, please. And so they do.
So much of a scene where they're like, he's like, I really like this. They're like, he's not supposed to like that. And he's like, I really like this. And then, it's fruit salad.
It's like, damn, you guys really know how to eat. It's awesome.
Scotty's first thing is like whiskey.
Uh-huh.
Drinks under a table. It's funny. It's yet another brilliant alien race are defeated by the enduring power of the human spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of misogyny, some sloppy writing, some comedy bits. I like Bones in this one. I like Scotty in this one. I don't love Kirk in this one. Oh, and I like actually the resolution of this. You guys are becoming so human that like your whole thing is we're not going to get to Andromeda, but like our kids, our great grandkids will. And then Kirk is like, they're going to be very human. They're going to be worse than you. You're like diluting your race, talking about perfection. And they're like, fuck, can we join the Federation? And they're like, I don't know. I'll send you a ship. Talk about it. Peace. That's great.
Yeah.
Go back to your home where you were marooned before.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And that is a good, very sci-fi logic thing of, sorry, dude, you can't make us your generation ship and like control that process. You can't even control your own shit.
Exactly.
Just chill, man.
Just come smoke with us.
And I like that the version of kind of holier than thou moralizing to an advanced alien species in this episode is less like we have better values and more like we just know how to party and get on this train. Like, just relax and have a nice meal and kiss it up. That's fun to me. This was a B, in my opinion. I enjoyed it.
I agree. A very B-coded episode. B-coded. B for by any other name. Also, so dumb, the part where they say that. And then they're like, what did you say? And he's like, a rose, by any other name would smell as sweet. Like, keeps looking at the camera like, do you get it? And it's like, no, you're not. I get it. I understand. You're saying that they're different than like, it's the same shit from a different perspective. I get it. I get it. Anyways, let me unclip my Star Trek. This is a TNG pin. I can't use this during TOS. John got me this. It's a Bluetooth speaker. I need to charge it at some point. Anyways, let's take a break.
Sounds good.
When we come back, we'll wrap up Star Trek TOS Season 2, Part 2 with the Omega Glory and more. Back after this.
Hello and welcome back to Chatz, a television podcast. This is a side program on the main feed that we call TrekChatz. The full name, of course, is Star Trek Chats, we're doing it.
Assignment Earth.
Assignment, Earth.
Mm-hmm.
We watched the second half of Season 2 of Star Trek, the original series. And we're going to keep talking about it with episode 23, which is called The Omega Glory. All right. So tell me if you've heard this one before.
Yeah, take it away. A tale as old as time.
So we get to a planet, and it's like, what's up with this planet? Distress call or something. The Star Trek guy's down there, or Starfleet guy's down there. Hey, come help me out. Okay, now that you're here, by the way, everybody on this planet has an illness that the planet immunizes them to, or at least us outsiders. But if you go back to your ship, you'll immediately start dying of it. You'll infect your whole crew.
You turn to
so
dust.
Don't do that. You'll have to stay here, or you'll turn to dust. Okay, bro, whatever. Then we slowly find out this guy, the Starfleet guy, has been ingratiating himself with one of the two sort of factions of people who live here on this planet. One of them is called the Comms, and the other are called the Yangs. And the way that it's presented to us is the Comms are, these are not words that I would use, but they're more civilized, big air quotes around that. And also, okay, they seem to be of Asian descent, and the Yangs are more, again, word I wouldn't use, savage is a word that's used in the show.
Mhm.
They seem to be of white Caucasian descent.
Hmm.
What a weird planet. The white people aren't culturally advanced. So strange.
Mhm.
Then it's slowly revealed to us, okay, the comms are immune to like every possible disease. They're hundreds of years old. The Starfleet guy wants to steal the secret of their longevity from them, so he's been helping them kill a bunch of Yangs. And then somehow
Mhm.
we end up at
Mhm.
making the revelation, wait a minute, these Yangs,
The revelation.
huh? Yangs, Yankees. Oh my God, these are the Americans. The comms are the communists. Whoa! Then we have an American flag. We've got the fucking Constitution that Kirk reads the preamble of, where like you got to remember your democratic roots, we the people.
Mhm.
What'd you think? Did you like it?
One of the best episodes I've seen of the show. No, I thought this episode was very stupid, but like in a fun way, like in a memorably fun. Like, oh my god, are they really? ... Are they really? And I'm so glad I didn't have it spoiled for me. It just kind of happened organically. You may think that it seems like an obvious twist in hindsight, but I did not really get it. This is the thing about storytelling, is that when you're actually immersed in it, you don't like fall for the stuff that in hindsight is like, oh my god, Yanks and comms, yeah, duh. I think just there's something so charming or so memorable about watching Kirk like hear the words and then say like not Foursquare 7 years ago, we the people, and they're like, we people. It's funny. But yeah, like materially what this episode has to say, what this episode has to say about the Prime Directive. There's episode's not doing it for me. No. This is not a good one. It's also like, again, really like pretty freaking racist. The noble savage trope, the communists and Americans trope. I get it. It's the 60s. It's the Cold War. I have a point about that, but I want to hear what you about like Star Trek and its relationship to the 60s and the Cold War. But I would like to hear what you think of this episode.
I was like shouting at my screen, like, are you joking? This is so fucking frustrating. Like, I really hated this to the point where it's almost so bad it's good for me, honestly, because it's like embarrassing. This and an aspect of the very ending of the Gladiator one, which we'll talk about. Just the sort of like way that the show is sometimes brazenly ideological in a pro-America way really sucks to me, because it feels totally dishonest to what the future would be like. Like, they're not the American Space Force, they're the Earth Space Force.
Yeah,
right?
wait.
But these are all like white American guys, the Starfleet guys, like, hey, you might notice that you look like the Yangs, and that's a thing. And we obviously have some non-white members of the crew, but the three main guys are these white guys. So it, for as much as Star Trek is presenting this kind of like idealistic future where the human race is united in wanting to explore and whatever, ultimately the vision of that is, it is a world that has been united under American ideals and like in worship of American mythology. And I find that really frustrating that the show is just kind of taking that as a given. Like, it's not even investigating, not to say that Firefly does this well, but at least Firefly is like, I guess they might speak a little bit of Chinese in space. Like, there's at least the thought. And then, of course, You don't cast like any Chinese main cast members, and
No,
that's
no, 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 no,
that's the
no.
whole thing. But there's at least some thought paid to kind of like geopolitics and what comes of them. So that's frustrating. And then this just feels like very condescending as a viewer, that you have Kirk who's like, wait a minute, Yanks, the Yankees. Oh my God, these are the freaking guys. It reminded me of when I was in, I think, junior year of high school. We read this aspects or excerpts of this essay, which maybe you read too, I don't know, called Body Ritual Among the Nasarima, and
I did read that.
by Horace Mitchell Minor.
Okay.
And it was essentially this like our teacher used it to teach us like Martian perspective, like talking about familiar things as if they're unfamiliar, to show how strange they are. And it's this sociologist speaking about American culture as if it's like a Native American society.
Naturimus
like
American backwards.
Right. And they like go to this room to shit in or whatever. It's like stuff like that. And then at the end, you're like, whoa, wait a minute, it's saying American. And that was written in 1956.
Boom.
So like this episode in 1968 is doing something that you want to be able to give the credit of like, oh, you know, it's like an old episode or whatever, but they're doing like a hack trope that was kind of hack 12 years before the episode happens, and also just brings back all of my frustrations with the Hodgkin's law.
Yes.
Because there's no mention in this. Later media is like, oh, some Starfleet guy came by and dropped off the Constitution, that's why they have it. But this episode is like, no, they
developed it
independently, developed word for word.
Word for word. That's the part. I'm like, with the same font.
Yeah.
What? Like same handwriting. They got their own John Hancock. Oh, it's dumb. I know you were in your notes. You're like, wait, how did they get the Constitution? And it's like, no, they wrote their own. It just is ours.
Yeah, it's just like, that frustrates me to no end, because what are we doing at that point? Like, I don't understand. It's, if you're wanting to have Kirk like lecture American society and be like, you've lost track of your ways, don't you know, we the people, it has to be all the people, just time travel. If that's what you want to do, just fucking time travel. Don't waste my time being like, oh, well, we're not talking to the real American people, we're talking to this you know, allegorical group that is the same and has all the same shit, defies any sort of logic, is deeply uninteresting from a science fiction perspective. Like, why would I be interested in a science fiction space where societies just kind of accidentally do the same stuff as each other? Why do I care about anything that happens if there's this like deterministic arc to civilization?
Especially because like 3 episodes later, we get a pitch for a time travel show. And it's like, guys, Doctor Who was doing this for longer than Star Trek existed. You guys clearly watched Doctor Who. So you know what it means to like do a time travel thing where you go, huh, that's very different from our society. That's like what Doctor Who is all the time. And I know you're trying to be your own thing, but then be your own thing. You're like kind of splitting the difference by being like, well, in other societies, they just copy ours. They mysteriously look and sound exactly like ours. Especially when it comes to like Kirk explaining to them their own ideology. Like the just weird arrogance of like, well, I know this because it's just ours. And it is very American for Kirk to be like, this only works, these words only work if they apply to everyone, not just the Yanks, but they have to apply to everyone. We are all treated equal. And that means the other guys too, which is like a way of framing hegemonic control in like in patriotism. Don't they? They all deserve to be like us. They all deserve to be like not racist the way that we're not racist. I mean, let's just like scoop them up and make them us, which is very Federation and very American and very hegemonic. So I think this episode is a really fascinating text about not only like where the United States is at in the late 60s after 2 decades of the Cold War and like this endless nationalistic rhetoric, and it is like chapter 0 of Star Trek going on to create a hegemonic empire and calling them the good guys. This is like the tip of that. And in TOS, they were more nakedly saying it's American, and later Star Trek will say, but it's the Federation. But you're like, the parallels are there.
From France, and it's like, fuck you. He's just stop it. Like,
yeah, I understand.
Whatever.
Hegemony doesn't have to be American. It still is hegemony. You know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like super interesting. That's why I'm like, this episode's not good, but it's so interesting. And it's so like it guides later Star Trek. You're like watching, for us, it's like we are time traveling and seeing the moment that somebody shot Hitler. And you're like, whoa, this is now, you just defined what Star Trek's version of Empire looks like for the rest of its history.
Yeah. And the other, the way that this episode does not deal with race, but like says a lot about it, I think is important too, because at first it feels like maybe the point could be, okay, we arrive on this planet, our main characters are white, and we haven't really had an episode, I don't think, up to this point where Star Trek characters have like talked about race or skin color as a thing.
Right. They kind of want to seem post-racial.
Yeah. And then you have the Starfleet guy who's like, hey, we white people look like this kind of like downtrodden group, this nomadic group that lives on the outskirts of this other society. And you think like, okay, maybe we're kind of doing this like deconstruction of, you could go to another planet and there could be a totally different dynamic of what races are where in the power structure or whatever. Like a little on the nose, but I'm here for it, especially because it feels a bit corrective to Klingons being like super Asian coded, like dressed up in Mongolian armor, and they have Fu Manchus and stuff. It feels like we're correcting the record a little bit, but then what we end up at is like, well, but no. These white people, by their very nature, deterministically created America and democracy and the Constitution and da-da-da-da-da. So, like, it isn't a bait and switch. It isn't a reversal. It's not that in this world, you know, the analog to the Western world is the comms. It's, oh, the white people are always going to make America, and they just need to remember that they're really great and the best, and then they'll be the best. And that is so gross. And also the way that they portray the Yangs as like their path from being the 20th century America analog to like refinding their Yankee white Americanness.
Yeah.
The path between those is, for a little while, you're an indigenous tribe that's
I was about to
as
say
a
this.
Native American people.
Yes.
And that's the time where you've like lost your ways, strayed. And also like that is presenting this really weird vision of American history as if like Native American societies naturally kind of evolved into the United States of America. And as if those were like the same peoples. And that is just there, that continuity is not there in American history. So it's so fucking maddening that what this episode is putting forward.
Ultimately, it tries to do so many things too, to be like almost to avoid criticism, because it's like, well, the way we're describing the Yangs is actually the way that the popular conception is of communists. Like, they're brutal and we can't understand them and they can't communicate intelligently. That's what we're calling the Yanks. Isn't it all the same shit? And it's like this very 1960s liberal perspective of like, we're all just going to get lost in the sauce. And like, we're all basically the same thing. Isn't that crazy? Like, we all just get along. And I think there's a line later in the season finale that I was like, this says more about the perspective of the 1960s than like any of this social commentary stuff. There's some great, if you look at the analysis section of this episode's Wikipedia page, there's some great takes on it. In particular, I like quoting this one from Michael Chabon, who's a great author. In 2006, he wrote, the Omega Glory, which had somehow managed to hold on to and venerate as sacred gobbledygook the preamble to the Constitution, nor conformed and perfected in. All they needed was a Captain Kirk to come and add a little interpretive water to the freeze-dried document, and the American way of life would flourish again. It's like the episode almost implies like, oh, you guys strayed from the point. The point is that we're American, and the point is that we are all the same, and that our rules should apply to everybody, and that what we deserve is like freedom and good things for all. And like, I don't fundamentally, on a basic level, entirely disagree with that. It's the part where it's the American way that I disagree with. And so I don't know. I think this episode's sloppy and messy, and I almost wish it just like dug its heels a little bit deeper and committed. Because then I could say like, I disagree with this, but I respect its right to say this. But now, because it's like mixing racial metaphors and mixing culture metaphors so much, I'm like, this episode almost says nothing. It feels like it almost has nothing to say. And that's like kind of frustrating, because we've had episodes where, you know, Kirk is like giving these impassioned speeches to people and saying it's not fair that you guys are like this. Like, we've had that. I don't think actually we talked about it, but we had one earlier in the season where I was like, whoa, not like the patterns of force, like the Nazi stuff, but just episodes where Kirk is like, humans have to be a certain way. We have to this is what, why we go to the stars, things like that. Yeah, so it's a disappointing episode to me.
Yeah, when you were talking about the word, so to speak, like that, a realization that I had in this moment here is like the way this episode treats the Constitution and the words of the preamble feels very biblical, in the sense that it's like this text and the very words of it have this kind of inherent transcendental property that can create goodness and virtue. And to believe that, and to believe that this text like came into being on a far off planet, you have to believe that there's like divine intervention or inspiration behind it. You have to essentially believe that the Constitution, like the Bible, was guided by the hand of the Holy Ghost and whatever. That's the only way I think that you could watch this episode and square it and be like, yeah, that makes sense to me that they would create the Constitution, because it's this sort of like divinely ordained final destination of civilization. And that is just so fucking bananas to me, and so far from what I believe, which is like the Constitution was written by a bunch of sweaty dudes over the course of one crazy summer where they got drunk and gambled and spent all their money and then argued all day and left when they ran out of cash. And that's what we got. And it's some pretty words, but God was not involved in the creation of it.
That well said. Brilliantly said. The people were just now, it's coming out, the people are like, wait, were the founding fathers drunk? And you're like, yeah, they kind of like partied for a while. And they just drank a lot of wine when they were figuring this shit out. Gosh dang it. Real quickly, the speech I didn't get to shout out earlier was from Return to Tomorrow. That's the one where the gods go in the bodies. The whole risk is our business, which I only want to shout out because, one, it's an iconic speech, and I think it's one of Kirk's best moments. We didn't shout it out. And two, it does the same thing that DS9 did, will go on to do, where it's like, frame the captain's face. He's about to say something really important to you. And it works. It's like successful propaganda to me, because he's like, risk is our business. That's what we get in this ship for. You have to take risks. We have to do challenges. We can't just take the easy way out. And I was like, God damn it, Kirk, I love you. So like sometimes Kirk's moralizing works on me. But when it comes to truth, life, and the American way, I simply can't. I can't ride with you on that one, dog.
Is this an F or bad but actually good? It might be an F to me.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think it has merit. It's like it has like narrative merit for having watched it, but like that doesn't make it good quality.
I think it has to. There has to be a degree of harmlessness in bad but actually good.
Yeah, this is definitely not bad. It's not actually good.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to the next one. So then we have the ultimate computer. We had to have an episode where there's a computer,
of course,
that is running things, and all the characters are like, "What? You can't have a computer do a captain's job." And McCoy's like, Spock, I don't know about these computers. I don't like them. I'd rather they slap me in the face and shoot me in the ass than make me a computer man.
That's a real line.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the plot. They have this like computer that's supposed to be able to run the ship, basically.
Yep,
the
M5.
The M5. And the guy who made the M5 is like, look, I made the M5. It's going to run the ship. We're going to do some drills. Spock is like, isn't this cool? I think it's really cool. And then, wouldn't you know it, the M5, they can't turn it off. It is now killing people to protect its functioning. Logic run amok. Oh no, it can't be compassionate like a human. It kills people. We have to turn it off somehow. The guy who made it, he's going mad trying to protect his scientific creation, and then eventually we're able to overload it by asking it to calculate the square root of pi or whatever, or to tell it like, actually logically you should die because I'm smart. And that's it. That's the episode.
I was talking to friends of the pod, Six and Nick, yesterday, and they were like, oh, how's Star Trek TOS? And I was like, approximately half of the episodes are a really smart computer that could have helped us, but is corrupt, almost ruins everything, before Kirk says, anyone who does anything bad should be killed. And then it says, that's true. And it says, and what did you do? And the computer says, something bad. And Kirk goes, and so what should you do to yourself? And it goes, kill myself. And that is almost half of TOS right there, listener. What if Kirk told the computer to kill itself and it said, yeah, that's true, I probably should. And then it just did. This episode is so down the plate, but it is bolstered by some remarkably prescient talk about like AI and how we're replacing humans. Some of McCoy's best acting work, or some of DeForest Kelly's best acting work. The weirdly intense Dr. Daystrom performance from William Marshall.
Yeah, really good.
Remarkably good. And otherwise, it's just like fun. This is a really fun time of the movies and pretty thought-provoking. I like really did not have problems with this one. I kept waiting for it to do something stupid or controversial, and it's like, no, it kills people, and for some dumbass reason, they never thought to tell anyone, hey, this ship is being piloted by a computer. Don't trust what it does. They can't tell anybody that because it ruins the mystique. And Daystrom, as we learn, is corrupt in himself and says, like, it doesn't need to tell anyone anything because it's smart. It's smarter than me. It's smarter than you. It has a human brain. This is AI accelerationism at its finest, guys. It's kind of nuts how prescient this is. It'll just replace you. You'll be a, what's the word? A dunsel? Like a redundant part of the ship. That's the stuff that I love about Bones, is this episode really firmly establishes Bones as the, like, we need people. We need people doing these things. We can't have machines doing these things. Kirk is the one who's like, if you really need to replace me, you could, but should you? And then he's the one who has to be like, oh yeah, I guess not. I guess I'm not. The whole point is that this is like personal relations, not just click shoot on the guns.
Yeah, I think this episode works because this plot just works for TOS. You get to do sci-fi stuff. You get to have a villain who you can very easily kind of take care of, tie it up with a bow. Your three main characters, like you're saying, have quite different perspectives on this issue. McCoy is always going to be the one who says, no, I don't like this. This is a bad thing. Spock is always going to be the one who's like, well, let's test it because we should test it. And then Spock can also be the one who later in the episode is like, I don't like this because, there's kind of the intangibles that humans can do that robots can't do. And Kirk is always going to be the one who's like, well, I'm not scared of a computer because I'm smarter than a computer. Wait a minute. The computer's smarter than me? Oh my God, I'm having an identity crisis. And you can just do that plot and it works every time because that's like hits on the core of who those three guys are in different ways. And yeah, it's a timeless. Amanda was watching it with me and she says, yeah, we know. It's like Smart House.
Honestly, even more prescient. Savage critique of AI. It's brutal. Cuts right to the core of the Disney Channel original movie Smart House. Katie Siegel, by the way. Great performance.
Yeah.
Excellent movie.
And yeah, it's just such a bummer that we've made so much sci-fi where the characters like Daystrom who are like, don't you see? You could have this computer do the job of a whole crew and you wouldn't need to hire a crew. And it's like, okay, cool. Did we all learn why that's bad? And then you go on the subway and you see an ad that's like, AI doesn't have to take PTO.
Don't you want that? Isn't that better? You can take all the PTO you want because the AI will do the work.
No. Like, don't hire people.
Don't hire people. Just hire. No, I know. I'm giving it a more generous read, but that ends up being what it actually is like.
Well, but I think the ads say don't hire humans. Like, it's not even like it implied. It's like stop hiring people.
Don't hire people.
Yeah.
What are the humans gonna do then? And that's what this episode also posits. Like, let's say theoretically that AI works perfectly and it doesn't just write your emails, but it literally does your job for you and you're finally replaced. What do the accelerationists believe is going to be the point? Like, Daystrom even says in this episode, I found it so interesting and again, relevant, where he's like, you guys don't have to like go and explore the stars anymore. Don't we want to? Isn't that the point of the show? It's like, you guys can just relax and do whatever you want. But I thought that the point of Star Trek in some ways was we don't need to worry so much about our own resources. We're just going to go and explore because that's what humans do. That's what people do. That's like in a world where we don't need our reason anymore. We don't need to scrounge anymore. We can just explore. And yet he says, no, in a world where the robot can do the exploring for you, you can just put your feet up and relax. Like what is a life where this machine, where the M5 does all the exploring look like? It's not fun and happy and successful to me. It takes away the most fun part of like journeying through the stars.
Yeah, and there's like they're speaking to this idea at certain points of being on a starship can be really dangerous, which we know is true.
As Kirk said, though, risk is the point.
Right. And the humans do make bad choices. Like the kind of pivot point of the episode that I really enjoyed is they're trying to figure out who should be on the away team. And the computer, like Kirk comes up with like, here's who I would send. And the computer comes up with a team and like doesn't put Kirk and McCoy on it. And the computer's like, yeah, you don't need to be there. Like, why would you go? And of course Kirk would send himself because he's like the main character of the show and
I'm the guy.
But he doesn't need to. So there is something to like, there's value in technology and like keeping us safe or giving us the support to make better decisions. But it's finding that line between that and when we give the decision making entirely over to something else, we lose something in that process. It becomes kind of meaningless. The things that it says or the decisions it makes. So that is relevant now more than ever, unfortunately.
True. And hey, speaking of things that'll come back later, Daystrom, the Daystrom Institute.
Yeah, we noticed that. We were like, whoa, Daystrom. We've heard that name.
Yep. I believe that's the institute that like does Android stuff.
I think that's right.
Robotics. Yeah. So it's within Starfleet, named after Daystrom, invented the Duotronic computer. Yep. Divided into divisions. One of them was cybernetics. Okay, yeah. So that's kind of cool. You get to see the name. It's kind of like when we saw the guy who invented warp.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, whoa, that's that guy. That's gonna be James Cromwell someday. What do you rate this episode, Michelle?
It's like a high B, low A to me.
I'm willing to give it a low A.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good performances. It's like the best of these computer episodes, I think.
I agree 100%. Spock and McCoy are on their game. Even Kirk is good here. Just this sad, like, oh, I am a Dunsel. Damn.
Yeah, because it's also like a lot of the computer episodes are, oh, this society is being ruled by a computer. We can't let a computer be the ruler. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, duh. But this computer, there is a logical idea of being on a spaceship's dangerous. A computer could do all these calculations and run these systems. So, and it can do it better than you, faster than you. And you're like, okay, yeah, I guess I can't argue with that. So it's more compelling because of that, I think.
Agreed.
Also, there's a moment where McCoy says, please, Spock, do me a favor and don't say it's fascinating.
They need to kiss. They actually need to,
I
like,
know.
open mouth kiss.
They need to open mouth kiss for surely they do. All right, episode 25. This is the other Hodgkin's Law episode. And this is the one where they say, Kirk in one of his captain's logs names Hodgkin's Law of Parallel Planet Development.
Correct.
This is bread and circuses. We're flying around. We get a broadcast. We have to tune the antenna on top of the Enterprise to get this TV signal. And what the heck? It's a gladiator fight, Roman style, but from like a 20th century industrial society with like 60s TV technology. What in the heck is going on? We find out that somehow, and this is a little bit more interesting of a Hodgkin's Law situation, where it's like they developed kind of a remix of our stuff. Like they have a Rome type of vibe, and they have kind of 20th century technology. That's weird. Very strange. We get caught up in this whole, like, we got to fight them on TV. We're caught by the big boss guy. Okay, now we escape. It just becomes kind of like a little action-y, beat 'em up, get the heck off the planet kind of thing. After that, what did you think of Bread and Circuses?
I actually think that this version of bringing stuff back is more fun because it actually feels really creative to be like, we remixed it. We smushed it into the modern day. We have 20th century Rome. So we have Roman gladiators on Gladiator TV with the cameras, that have the little sticker on the side. I think all that stuff is really fun. It is ultimately kind of a backdrop for an okay episode that's like mostly punchy, fighty. There is some great like little speeches in this one. Bones and Spock, once again, my favorite pairing of this season, have a conversation in the jail cell about how Spock is afraid to live. Why are you so interested in dying? You're afraid to live because you let your human soul, your human side come out. And Spock just has to look and like take that. That's amazing. Roman rule being replaced by Christianity is the second craziest twist of the season. I can't stop screaming. Yeah, and then at the beginning of the episode when they're like, I don't know what planet this is, but they have an excellent road system. I felt like my middle school study of the Roman Empire. My like middle school history teacher was like, yes. Yeah, the twist is the goofiest, dumbest, most nonsense thing. It's actually not. Listener, when you hear me say crazy and dumb and stupid, I don't always mean that badly. Sometimes I definitely mean it badly. And I try to keep my opinion fluid so that you guys don't yell at me in the comments and you can't ever like pinpoint me. But I'll be honest and I'll be straightforward here. I think it's funny as fuck. I don't think it's smart. I don't think it's clever or thought-provoking. I am laughing at it. I laughed out loud. It is as funny as Mary and Joseph being on Xena Warrior Princess with their little baby that they're taking on some surgery. It's exactly that funny. At least on Xena, they didn't claim to make it some like smart, like thought-provoking twist about how the Roman Empire transforms once again. Instead, it was just like, yeah, no, literally Jesus is here. So I give Xena more credit because of Bread and Circuses' dumb, goofy twist. There's my take.
Yeah. And also Xena would do the thing where they kind of like do the Bible story or character, but a little different to imply, oh, you know, the story is going to get changed and adapted over time as
Right.
people,
It's about how stories are changed and told, right?
yeah, tell it orally and then write it down. And the Bible is, of course, the product of centuries of a collaborative creative process. Yeah. So Xena is like a little bit smarter about how things actually develop than Star Trek. My thing about this episode is like the fundamental premise of we are a somewhat industrial society, and this idea of, oh, this society is as industrialized or as technologically advanced as the people watching the show, and the society's doing something that the people watching the show would be like, oh my God, that's barbaric. That's something from like the Roman Empire from so long ago, that they had these lethal gladiator fights. Ridiculous. Like, wow, whoa, why are they like that? And then the episode kind of explores, well, but is this so different from how TV can operate or function in, you know, in 20th century America? Like, you watch dudes concuss themselves every Sunday in pitched gladiatorial combat. Talking about football, of course.
Thank you.
So like,
yeah, we're watching the World Cup right now. We're watching a bunch of people who's like, from a very young age, whose bodies were honed to perfection to perform a sport for us, so that we can cheer in a cheer of nationalism, right? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. So like, how I think this episode, at least on paper, it asks what I think sci-fi should ask, which is, okay, but how different are we from this? Or like, okay, you have this judgment or belief about this society. Now let's turn that around and look at your own society and see what you think about that. What I think is dumb is that it's literally Roman and literally like an American city or whatever. It's not just like a place that has gladiatorial combat. It's not like Vulcan, where this is a Vulcan ritual and this is how Vulcans do it. It's a place that's like, no, this guy's name is Flavius. That's how this works. His name's Flavius. And that gives me nothing. Like, that's not valuable to me. It's fine if the characters say, oh, this is kind of like, you ever heard of that ancient city? Even Spock might be like, oh, Captain, it's much like the ancient civilization of Rome from your Earth. And then Kirk will be like, damn, Spock, you're right. That totally is like Rome. You can do that without Kirk being like, they made their own Rome, and this is how it works. I don't like it.
I think honestly this episode would have worked for me if not for the ending. And the thing is, the ending is like,
the ending is so fucking dumb.
The ending,
my opinion is that it is toxically stupid. It's like funny, but really more maddening for me. The
ending is clearly supposed to be like a da 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 da. Don't think about it too much. But like, it's like, you know, it's her turning around and being like, the sun. No, not like the sun. They worship the son of God. She might as well. Audio listeners can't tell. I'm like raising my eyebrows, and in theory, they would like go so high that they would like come off of my head in a cartoon version. Like, do you get it? And I love my favorite TOS episode endings are the ones where like a Spurk moment happens, and one of them says, "You're a fucking freak," and the other one says, "I want to kiss you on the lips." Those are perfect. This is where it's like, did you guys not get it? Here's the moral of the episode: it all gets replaced by Christianity in the end, anyways. Da-da. I hate this.
Yeah, and it's like, to your point, if it was just a bitty, that's all, folks, kind of a moment, it's funny, and it can begin and end there at it being funny. But it's saying something ideologically, because the conversation they're having is like, dang, that one guy who was nice to us died. That really sucks, but he was really cool.
Yeah.
And then they're like, wait a minute, why were his morals cool, because his religion was so dumb. Like, he worshipped a sun god. That's stupid. I don't understand. Like, Spock is making this sweeping generalization about any society that worships the sun values XYZ things. And Uhura says, no, 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 no.
Crazy racist, mind you.
Yeah. No, 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 no. He was Christian, which is why his morality was good.
Oh, he's cool. He's one of us.
So again, it's doing a very similar thing to the Omega Glory, where the way that they say, like, oh, this person or this group of people is redeemable and good, the way that they justify that is by saying, like, oh, they were going to literally develop like the Christo nationalist 20th century American culture. Yes. So they're cool. That means that we like them. Which is so myopic and, like, again, ideologically bankrupt and frustrating, and also participating in this really ridiculous revisionism about the Roman Empire and this kind of like Christian victim complex about all of the gladiators were Christians and they were killing us in the gladiator pits or whatever. And it's like, no. And also, like, you're telling me that this empire becoming Christian, like, made it more egalitarian. I'm sorry, but like, here's all of pre and during medieval history, and let's like take a look at that and at what Christianity did to totalitarian states. I don't even know if that's the right word, but like monarchical and imperial states in the medieval period. Mm-hmm. So it's just dumb. It's just like, you know, waspy wish casting, and I hate it.
Waspy Whiscash is my favorite water ground Pokemon. Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I love it when you go history teacher mode, and you're so right. And I'd love to hear if people have opposing takes on this one. Happy to hear that. But like this, I'm with you. And that's mm-hmm. Like I said, redeeming qualities, right? Fantastic mm-hmm. boat Spock conversation. I said earlier, I cannot state enough that the little moments where the characters talk to each other and see each other are like some of the series' finest. Mm-hmm. And it almost always has to do with Spock. And I'm like, is this guy just the best thing to come out of TOS? Is he just like clearly and plainly the best character on the show, like by a country mile? Because he gets everything. He gets every like moment of pathos, and you know, the racial metaphor works mostly. It's all there, and it's funny and charming and thought-provoking. And I'm like, man, he's just above and beyond everyone. Mm-hmm. And well, actually, no, this is a point against the episode. When Kirk is like imprisoned, he's introduced to Drusilla, the like blonde female slave in the revealing outfit. First of all, points off for yet another, like, we're just gonna have Kirk kiss a woman because like we need another extra 5 minutes, and that's something that brings the parents here, I guess. I don't know, it's fun. If you look at the production notes for this episode, the longest paragraph is as follows about this whole episode. That's about, as you said, the Roman Empire and media and all this stuff. Lois Jewell said in an interview that 2 costumes were made. That's the actress who plays Drusilla. 2 costumes were made, a gray slave outfit and the revealing evening wear that she entertained Kirk in. Of that, she said, quote, "That was a very exotic costume. It was made by the designer who designed everything for Star Trek. It wasn't like they said, let's throw this on. It was designed and it was made. And they had to make sure in the fitting that it fit me. And I wore that. And I still get a lot of comments when I'm at the Star Trek shows. Everybody talks about that costume." This is what we're talking about. This is the stuff that's like in the notes relevant to this episode.
It's, well, and textually, you know, she's not just there to kiss Kirk, right? She's like, hey, I'm enslaved by this Roman guy, and he sent me here to have sex with you. Sound good? And Kirk's like, nice try, Roman guy. You're not going to trick me. And she's like, no trick. I'm enslaved, and I'm here to have sex with you. And Kirk's like, all right, sounds good. And then in the next scene, the Rowan guy's like, hey, Kirk, do you like that lady I sent you? I respect you, so I wanted you to have a couple more hours as a man. And Kirk's like, I appreciate it.
Thanks, boss.
Like, what are we fucking doing?
Just
What are we
bonkers.
fucking doing here?
Bonkers.
It's gross. Yeah. There is my favorite line to talk about Kirk and McCoy.
Yes.
Who are the bright spot of the episode. Is McCoy at one point says, "I'm trying to thank you, you pointed-eared hobgoblin."
Yes. One of the best.
Funny.
Anything else?
When they're escaping, they're like, "Kirk, where were you?" or whatever. Or what'd they do to you? And Kirk says, "They threw me a few curves, no time to explain." Which, if they meant that pun, that is a wild pun.
Wait, which one? What?
Kirk says, "They threw me a few curves, no time to explain," which I'm interpreting as curves of the woman as opposed to curveballs.
Yo. Okay. By the way,
I kind of respect the pun, if that's the pun.
Yeah, I'll allow it. That's clever. It's gross, but also kind of clever. Earlier I looked up best Kirk speeches to find the one where know I got a whole page about Charlie Kirk. You know that I got almost nothing about Captain Kirk.
God.
I'm mad about that.
Oh, the last thing that I wanted to say, the way that they talk about the road systems in Rome, the way that they're like, dang, Rome was so strong, Rome was pretty cool. I'm just going to say is like the same way that they talked about Nazi Germany a couple episodes ago.
Drag them.
They had some efficient stuff, and like there's all this bad stuff too.
But those roads were fantastic.
But the roads were really good. Like, is there a way we could get the roads without the sort of like arc chauvinism and all the fascism and killing and shit? No? Okay, well,
damn.
I'll have to think about it. It might be worth the roads. It's like that.
It makes me think, Magellan, how... I agree. No, I agree. It just makes me think how much like we were educated in the 90s and 2000s on this stuff. If we were getting the very end of that version of telling our history, and we're seeing it here where they're like, yeah, that's how the kids in the 60s were taught about Rome. Is like, I don't know, they were pretty cool. They had a ruler and he was bad and then he got killed. But like the roads, I'm telling you, like we grew up at a time where we were also taught that because we weren't taught like, and that came with X and Y and Z. We had to learn that as we became adults. It's really interesting, like how long it has taken for history education to advance beyond like the cool things that all the different empires did. And maybe it hasn't. Maybe it hasn't fully evolved past that.
Well, hey, let me tell you, as someone who's in the field of history education, it hasn't. Like in a lot of places, in a lot of classrooms, it has not advanced past that point.
Thank you. Sorry. I was going to say we have a modern perspective on it still.
Some teachers are doing it differently and some aren't. What do you rate Bread and Circuses?
I think this is a C.
Yeah.
This episode's actually quite interesting, and of the like kind of bad episodes, I like it. So I think it's a C. Right down the plate.
I like gladiator combat as a plot structure.
I'll never get tired of gladiators on TV. That's just yes, you're right. It's the most obvious metaphor for sports ever, but like it worked. It worked for me. I was like, yeah, I get it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I just like an episode where we're trapped somewhere, we're forced to fight, and then we like make friends with the people we have to fight, and then it's like, let's fake fight, and I don't know. Yeah. That's always fun. I like that.
It's funny that in every other Star Trek show, I'm like, why are we never off the planet? We're always on, and it's like the episodes on the ship are always the best ones. And on TOS, I'm like, get us off the ship. The episodes on the planet are the best ones. It's completely flipped for this show, in my opinion. Can I introduce the final one?
Yeah, tell me about it.
This is season 2, episode 26, the season finale, Assignment Earth. This episode is a backdoor pilot for a spin-off of Star Trek TOS that never happened. I looked into this. The network simply didn't think it had legs. It is about a secret agent named Gary Seven, his cat that can turn into a woman named Isis, and his plucky 1960s assistant named Roberta. And the three of them trying to stop a nuclear missile from starting World War III. And the TOS crew just happens to also be there and interact with him. This is the most backdoor pilot of all time that I've seen. I didn't know this existed. I was like, wait, I didn't know there was a fucking backdoor pilot episode in TOS. And that's because it just never like came back. To my understanding, Gary 7 gets fleshed out in some books and fan media. Fans have like written Assignment Earth episodes, and somebody made a theme song I listened to. That was pretty good.
There's a brief comic book miniseries also.
Yeah. Ultimately, the thing about Assignment Earth I think we can start this episode as an episode and then as a pilot also. The Gary 7 show is like, it's just American Doctor Who. Yeah. It's so Doctor Who, it's shameless. He has a plucky companion. Yeah. He has a device that can do anything. He's got he's got little buddies, and he goes around time and space trying to stop wars. It's kind of wild. What did you think of Assignment
Doctor Who? Yeah, it doesn't. I didn't think it was that good. I don't know. I wish I had much more to say about it. It's an interesting relic of it's 1968, and we want to do an American Doctor Who, and we couldn't get anyone to do it, so we're going to put it in a Star Trek episode. I think if I didn't know that context, I would be like, why are we spending so much time with this Gary guy?
This episode's insane if you don't know that.
Yeah, it's like unintelligible because we spend almost no time with the Enterprise crew, and they don't do anything useful. They spend the whole time trying to stop Gary 7 from doing the thing that they also want to do, and then at the end they're like, all right, Gary, take it away. And they're like, cool, well, since we did nothing, we didn't break the Prime Directive, we're good. We're going to go back to the future because we can time travel, but we don't ever do it. See you later. Completely vestigial. All of the, or superfluous rather is the word. All of the Enterprise stuff. It does not need to be here. It serves no purpose. It's very obvious that they wrote like a 30-minute pilot of the Gary 7 show and then wrote all the other scenes around it.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, 110% correct. It's so funny when Kirk and Spock proudly explain at the end. They're like, but what about your intervention? And they go, it actually says in the history records that we were here because this is a closed time loop story and we inserted ourselves in, and now that's true. And then Roberta's like, what? And they're like, don't worry about it. Bye-bye.
See you later.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess, like I said, I can imagine if I want to talk about like what I think of Assignment Earth as a show. I like is it Robert Lansing? I believe. Yeah, Robert Lansing is Gary 7. I think he's like kind of fun and like gruff, almost like number 6 from The Prisoner. Where you're like, this guy just takes no bullshit. He's just like, you're all stupid. You're all weirdos. I like the mystery of like, who does he work for? Again, very Prisoner. Like, who is the main character? What's his story? I think it really is bolstered by Terry Garr as Roberta Lincoln. I think she's so good in this.
Totally.
And I didn't get to look up if she was like doing much more after this in her career, but like she's really good and gets a lot of the best lines. She's funny, she's charming, she like picks up on the situation pretty quickly and is able to like have agency in it pretty quickly. And the line I was referring to earlier where it's like, this is the best social commentary of the season. Roberta attempting to stop 7. She's like, I don't want to stop I don't want World War III to happen, because she also thinks he's trying to start it for some reason. And then he's like, you got to leave us alone. And she says, well, like, anyways, that's why my generation are all hippies. We wonder if we're even going to be alive when we're 30. And I was like, oof, whoa, you finally said the thing. You just like summarized the whole hippie movement in 5 seconds in a way that doesn't feel judgmental for once. Because so much of what we're taught about the hippie movement in history is like, they were just all on drugs. And it's like, guys, they thought they were going to die. They were like positive that they weren't going to live very long.
Yeah.
So for her to say that and be like, and that's why I just want to be a fucking secretary, felt like deeply relatable to my current moment. I'm like, I don't want to be the big guy. I just want to live to 30. I want to just survive out of this fucking war. Yeah, she's really great. She's got the best outfit. She's so colorful and fun. I would love to see a show where she's wearing different outfits every week. And then I totally called the Isis being a woman thing. I wonder how the hell that would be used in the plot. It's so dumb. Roberta looks at her for 2 seconds, sees a beautiful woman in like lingerie, and goes, "Huh?" And then everyone else looks and they go, "That's a cat," and it turns back into a cat. What is this? Get this out of here! And let it just be a cat. There are 2 charming cat moments in this episode. Obviously, just like Gary Seven constantly like, "Isis, go open that door. Isis, relax." And then at the beginning, when they have a black cat and Spock sees it, and they're like, "I didn't think I like it, but I kind of like cats." I was like, why is Spock and Magellan, why are they just the same person?
That's the autistic representation we crave. It's like, this animal makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Communicates its emotions very clearly. It's quiet.
Low stimulation, perfect
low
animal.
Stimulation. Yeah, on the Isis thing, that moment where
sorry.
the moment where she turns into a human or a person, it really felt like I wouldn't be surprised if there were multiple drafts of this pilot script where that doesn't happen, and then there's a note that's like, we need another sexy lady in the show. There's got to be multiple sexy ladies. And so this is tacked on at the end to be like, wait, don't change the channel. Just so you know, we're doing this too. Okay?
Right.
There's gonna be a hot lady that the cat turns into wearing little cat ears. So if you're still not convinced, please watch our show.
She didn't even get credited for this scene because there's no dialogue, but that's April Tatro. I was like, that sucks. You get to be in 2 seconds of Star Trek and you're not even credited.
It's not only that. I was reading that for a long time, fans had misidentified who it was.
Yeah.
And it took a while before someone was like, wait a minute, I found a call sheet that has a different name.
Right. So
yeah, but to agree with you from before, the character of Roberta is really engaging, and I think what this gets right, I can imagine a world where the Gary Seven show becomes good.
Yeah.
Like, this pilot is not good, and if I were the network, I would say no thanks,
I'm good.
Like, sometimes we talk about I'm feeling this more and more, or I was thinking about this the other day, when we talk about like decisions that networks make to cancel a show or to not pick something up. I feel like I actually probably agree with the network decisions more than I disagree with them. If we take like the full range of all decisions and not just the like highly controversial, like, you canceled a beloved show or you like didn't pick up the coolest pilot in a generation. Sometimes, most of the time, it's like, no, this isn't very good. And I don't think this needs to be a show. But I could imagine a world where the Gary Seven show grows into something that's fun because, like you said, he's engaging. He's got kind of like a James Bond meets Doctor Who thing going on. She's great. And, I would imagine the thing that really makes or breaks a kind of Doctor Who show's watchability is the companion character. Because that's the person who's like
the viewer stand-in.
Yeah, like a person, and not as sort of like time traveling super being. So I don't know. There's a voice activated typewriter. That's pretty sick.
That's true. That part's fun. There's like little technology where you're like, I can see how this would get used a bunch. Like, they built this whole set for his office with like the bookcase that opens up. Like, this is them building a set for a show. It's kind of crazy. That's like the most interesting thing about this one is just all the details. They're like, oh, this was going to be something. They would have done this a whole bunch.
The sound effects are really fun. The like stop motion vault door sequence where it opens up and there's the like pew pew pew.
Yeah.
By the way, all of Isis's sound, I think it must have just been a human that was like, meow.
It was, yeah.
It's like, meow, meow.
It's pretty great stuff. I hate to break it to you. The next... Oh, sorry, we should rate this one before I say what I was about to say.
Yeah, we should.
B?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Golly, every time I just look at the reception section of future episodes, I'm like, oh god, because we are not coming back to TrekChatz next week. We'll talk about what we're doing. I just want to mention that next time we do come back to TrekChatz, we'll be doing season 3, part 1, which is only 12 episodes because it was a 24 episode season, not a 26er. So you get a bit of respite. I unfortunately do have to break it to you that the first 12 episodes feature multiple episodes cited as the worst of the franchise. Multiple worth.
Wow.
But
So it's
sometimes
give this stretch a run for its money.
Yes. Sometimes people say things are bad and then we like them though. So who knows?
We'll see.
A lot of the most famous stuff in Star Trek is still yet to come, like stuff that's going to get referenced later. So stay tuned to TrekChatz for more of that. But I think overall, man, this was really rough. This was a rough block of episodes.
Yeah, it was.
I think TOS is proving to be really interesting for me historically as like a piece of text that would define the rest of the franchise. And maybe I would have been more generous to it if I had watched it before everything else. But like this franchise is gonna get so much better. So much better. They're gonna figure this out to a T. And right now we're watching them figure it out.
Well, and I think I think there are shows that just suffer, like they buckle under the weight of having a podcast done about them.
Yes,
and
for sure.
I think TOS is very much one of those shows. Like I think Deep Space Nine, when we were watching it, after every chunk of episodes, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I could watch 10 more. Like I could chew on this show and watch a ton of it all at once.
Yes.
And TOS, it's like I kind of need a month in between every episode so that it can just be fun to be on the Enterprise again and be doing all this like schlocky 60s stuff. Because if I become too used to that and it loses its novelty, then the show is not very good. So, yeah.
Well said. But Magellan, what are we doing next time on Shots of Television podcast?
Next time we're returning to our season 18 extravaganza, our couch toon madness cartoon animated shows, big old bracket situation. And we're moving on to our third of 8 divisions next week. Ooh. This one's going to be all about shows that are either from or adjacent to the DC animated universe. We're going to go roughly chronologically this time around instead of randomly doing shows, because since these shows are in a shared universe, many of them, they're going to be building on each other. It just kind of makes sense to look at them chronologically. So next week, we're going to watch the pilots of Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, and Teen Titans. So get excited for that. And then the week following, we're going to watch the pilots of Batman Beyond, Static Shock, Young Justice, and the Zeta Project.
Ooh. We're gonna believe in a sign of Zeta, as the kids say.
I don't know what that means.
Remember Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, the sequel to Mobile Suit Gundam? That you know that show, he says in the theme song to that show, they say believe in a sign of Zeta. Doesn't mean anything, just kind of a cool phrase.
Got it. That is a cool phrase. Alrighty.
Magellan, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me on another podcast that I do with my friend Justin called Super Smash Echoes, where we play video games related to the Super Smash Brothers franchise. I've been, really editing some stuff in the chamber, and earlier this month, like at the beginning of the month, this month being June, which I think it'll still be June when we release this.
Yep.
We put out a big old episode about Kirby Air Riders, and then middle of this month we put out an episode about a game called Those Games. I don't remember the full title because it's like comically long, but it's essentially a compendium of somebody looked at like really trashy mobile game advertisements and then turned them into real games, and we talk about that in comparison to Game & Watch Gallery and that kind of thing. So it's fun. Super Smash Echoes, check it out.
I really love these episodes. I just finished listening to the second one yesterday in the car. You guys are doing a great job, and I don't just mean that as your friend. Like I think I texted you saying Super Smash Echoes is kind of like the hardcore history of video game podcasts where it's like when it does come out, they're all beefy and they're extremely in depth, more than you could have ever expected. And then you're going to forget it exists. And then it'll hit you with a wave and you go, oh, fuck, new Echoes episode. Let's go. And I'm excited every time. And I love the conversations.
Thank you. You can also follow me on Bluesky, not that Magellan.bsky.social, and read some of my writing at Magellan.ghostsite.io. Alan, what about you?
Nosh. Sorry. Okay, I'm on a couple other podcasts. The main one right now being the Creature Quorum, which is a Pokemon-centric podcast I do with my friends, aforementioned friend Six from Scaline Media. We're covering Pokemon specifically right now, the Kanto games. We are currently playing through Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, as well as Fire Red and Leaf Green, and discussing the differences. And we're nearly at the end of that playthrough, so we're about to fight Blaine and talk about the Blaine fight on Cinnabar Island soon. I was just playing through Seafoam Islands last night, and I was like, damn, I already have a lot to say. So that can be found at scalemedia.com. I'm also on The Garnet Wager, which is a currently on pause Korean game show discussion storytelling podcast, also on Scaling Media. And lastly, you can find me on Bluesky at Ibrahim, AIBRAHIM. But John, I can do the plugs now for this episode if that's cool with you, my friend. Groovy. You can email us questions, comments, concerns, thoughts about our thoughts on Star Trek at chatzpod.gmail.com. You can also send those over to our Bluesky, which is at chatzpod, CHATZPOD. Usually 2 days after the audio version comes out on podcast platforms, we release a video version on YouTube. The Chatz, the television podcast YouTube, is where you can find that. You can see our beautiful faces. You can see Magellan's Star Trek cast poster back there. You can see this is an Arizona shirt that I have. I don't know. It's pajamas. Leave me alone. It's also good on the pontoon, of course. All that video goodness can be found on Chatz, the television podcast YouTube. Supporting us comes in a couple different flavors. You can rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, of course. You can support us financially at Patreon, patreon.com/chatspod. We have tiers to get you special titles on our Discord, which is not patron only, but it will be free to everyone forever. But you can get cool titles like Chatsy Watsy Deluxe Comfort Plus if you support our Patreon. And $1 and $3 gets. We also have tiers for getting picked from the cup. That big cup with the eyes behind Magellan, that has things in it that we pick from. Magellan, do you want to tell people what the latest cup pick is?
Yes, we did this off screen because we had to figure out our schedule for what we had to record and when. But our listener pick bonus episode for the month of June is a suggestion from Ryan Slowinski, who said a few options, but the one that got picked was the pilot of The Lone Gunmen, the X-Files spin-off, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to be covering The Lone Gunmen on the Chatz Patreon this month, as well as one of our own picks. This case of month of June, it's my pick. So we'll be covering all of the Strokes discography. We're doing a music podcast over there. So you can hear all of that at the Chatz Patreon, and then $5 a month gets you all the things I just told you. You can add stuff to the cup. You can listen to the old episodes, and you get thanked at the end of every main feed episode. So thank you as of today to our $5 plus patrons, whomst include fiance of the podcast, Amanda, Arthur, Emily, Emrys, Felicia, Jen, Justin, girlfriend of the podcast, Kelly, Kyrie, Lee, Marcus, Magellan's mom, MP, Nick of the Brothers at Infinite War, Noel, Six, Stefan, and Steph. Thank you all so much for supporting Chatz. Lastly, our main feed podcast art, which is right here on the video version. Boom, boom. That was done by Camilla. She's at Camilla Strader on social media. Give her a follow. And before we go home, our final segment is called Chatsums, where, like the Vlasic snacking pickle, we take a bite out of crime and recommend that you do or try something between now and next episode. Magellan, what is or are your Chatsums for this week, my love?
So, speaking of Camilla at Camilla Strader, I had the chance to see her recently. She visited New York City, and then we also both went to a wedding of some friends of ours from college. And one of the things she told me that she's been doing lately is something that I want to chat some, which is a podcast. It is a role-playing game podcast, but not just any live play. It's an improvised musical live play show called RPG Minor. And let me tell you, having improvised with Camilla in college, she's a genius. She's a musical improv genius, especially. Mm-hmm. So I cannot imagine am I going to double negative the sentence? It's got to be good. RPG Minor. I haven't listened to it yet, but I wanted to chat some it because knowing Camilla, knowing what she's capable of,
yes,
it's going to be good. So RPG Minor, check it out.
RPG Minor. MINOR, I'm assuming.
Yeah, like G minor.
G minor. Yeah. Damn, that sounds good. Shout out to Camilla Illustrator. Once again, double shout outs.
What about you? What's your chat?
I have a quick but a strong recommendation. I like to chat some of my book club books, and I just finished my latest one last night. I'm finally ahead of the game, guys. I finally finished a book before the Tuesday deadline. I would like to chat some of The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, which is a 2024 mystery novel about the disappearance of a young girl from a summer camp in the 1970s and how that mirrors the disappearance of her older brother in the 1950s and the sort of neighborhood's attempt to find out what happened. And you know, it has a lot of the things that a good mystery novel has. It's got, you know, a memorable private investigator character who's really lovable and charming. It's got flashbacks and flash forwards. It's got different perspectives, which makes it really, really compelling. Like, you are following people on all sides of this conflict at different decades of their lives. Things that didn't make sense at the beginning make perfect sense at the end. And they basically keep you waiting until the very end to fully reveal everything. And yet that feels really satisfying. And it is a beefy but very worthwhile journey that is also has some good social commentary. And it's just the characters are very, very well rendered. And I'm really glad I finished it. And I can give it my wholehearted recommendation. So if you're looking for a good mystery book to read at the beach or something this summer, check out The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. It's going to get a Netflix show with Maya Hawke in it soon that's currently filming. You can say that you read the book before it came out. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what we got. Magellan, thank you. Girl from the podcast, Kelly, while we were watching episodes recently, was like, which one of you is Spock and which one's Kirk? And I was like, you don't listen to the podcast, because at the end of all of the episodes, I say thank you to Magellan for being the Spock to my Kirk, because they love cats and I love one woman, and that's my girlfriend. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Goodbye. Peace.